What's good? This is your boy Tico Tren, aka the Internal Sadist. I'm going to talk about today's title is basically Crouching Negro, Hidden Tico. It's basically based on the thumbnail that I put up on the video for Wushu, and this is typically one of those things where I always talk about when it comes to techniques and tactics. When it comes down to it, because you don't always need brute strength to get the job done for all intents and purposes. Is what I'm saying by that. You can anytime you want, you can always use technique to get it done. And typically what I mean by that is it's one of those things where if you notice something, you if you notice something, you can actually be able to manipulate something into actually understanding a situation a lot better for all intents and purposes. So it's one of those things where you're pretty much using wushu tactics to basically get your point across, or wushu tactics within the context of a close quarters thing. Um, a lot of the times that people don't realize is there are a lot of men who use these tactics, or people who use the tactics. They tend to go unseen or unnoticed while they're doing it. And the neat thing about that is when they actually do it and they pull it off, it's one of those things of amazement, and it's quite beautiful. Because I typically I always refer to myself as a martial scientist instead of a martial artist, for the fact that I apply martial arts to my day to day routine and to my life for all intents and purposes. Even in debates, I apply a lot more. I'll apply martial arts in the debate, basically the techniques and stuff like that to debates. So I typically use martial science to basically handle or facilitate a debate for all intents and purposes. Sad part about that is if I don't think you're getting it and I don't think you quite understand what's going on, it's one of those things where like you're sitting up there looking and you're trying to figure out what the heck is really going on and why is it going on for all intents and purposes. So it's one of those things where it's like you're trying to figure out why it is and when why it is and when it is and why it's going on exactly, and trying to figure out why exactly is there pushback, or slight pushback on you when you're in an argument with me for all intents and purposes. It's not like blatant pushback, but a slight pushback. And the sad part about that is what a lot of people don't notice is that I use what they were referred to as close quarter combats wushu, is what I would refer to it. Close quarter combats wushu. It's typically where I take. It's typically the exercise that you do in wushu, where like you basically take your hands and you put them up against each other's hands, and you basically do the back and forth circular exercise, basically. So it's one of those things where it's basically we go back and forth. It's typically how I handle a lot of that stuff. What's up, Saki? So so it's one of those things where it's always a back and forth push and pull between the people that I'm actually in the thing with. And the sad part about that is it's one of those things where it's like I'm able to do it so steadily because at this point I've mastered every single technique that you're going to try to put out there on me, to the point where like there's no way you're going to overcome me in this debate, especially because it's one of those things where like that same tactic that I use, that wushu tactic that I use or exercise that I use in debates, is a nice way to gauge the intellect of the person that you're in the debate with. Then also engage, and also you can do stuff where you can actually figure out the yeah, you can figure out the intellect of the person in the debate with you. You can also determine, um, almost like a measuring stick, on how much mental fortitude the person has, and how much of this is actually that person actually speaking. How much of that is this person actually speaking, and how much of that person is actually regurgitated information that they got from somebody else versus their actual self. You can also determine their mentality while you're in a debate with them too. The problem is when you do that, you find out very quickly that the person's not as adept as you are, and their fortitude is not as high as you are, and you find out that they get very triggered easily and very agitated with you easily. It's typically how that works. Um, and you tend to learn about people very psychologically. You learn about people very quickly, and you can get a full what's it called a full profile on that person based on their response to you and how they act if you listen to a lot of their live streams too in the process. It's basically the same thing when I actually go around listening to newer content creators. I go back and listen to their old stuff first to see what they I listen to the recent stuff, then I go back and listen to their old stuff to see if it has any connection. So it's one of those things. Then on top of it, also there's other content creators, even if they've been doing stuff consistently, you tend to learn about their personality and their temperament very easily for the fact that there was a lot of content creators in the manosphere who will try to paint a woman in a bad light. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, they were the abusers in the relationship. So there's a lot of those that actually exist within the manosphere, sadly. Um, they're not big content creators. Some of them are decent sized content creators. Like some of them are like, got like 3,000, 3,000 to like, they tend to have a little over a couple thousand basically. When you actually look at their thing, you find out about their personality. You find out their personality when you as you listen to their content and you listen to like various topics and various things that bother them. And you also turn around and listen to various things that trigger them, or when you try to talk about a certain topic with them, you find out very quickly that there's certain topics that they get very, you can't even call it passion anymore. They get very angry about. And then it takes a very knowledgeable man to realize that he's the one that messed up in a relationship. It takes a very knowledgeable man to understand when it is and what it is about you, them to actually understand that in a relationship you also messed up too, and you also made mistakes by choosing the person that you got into a relationship with. It's typically one of those things that there's very few men that can actually admit that I was wrong by picking a person, but I was picking with my small head. There's very few men that can actually admit that. Most men will say it was all her fault, this, that, and the other, this, that, and the other. And as the more you listen to these guys, the more you realize that they're very angry and bitter with women. The more you listen to them, then you actually, as you like listen to them rant about a certain topic or a certain thing that women do, you tend to realize that 9 times out of 10, there's some deep-seated issues with this human being that makes for a very interesting story if you ever really get them to open up. The sad part about that, a lot of content creators are not going to open up because they want to be in the manosphere and want the guise of the manosphere and the protection and love and admiration of the manosphere, when in fact they were actually the abusers. And the sad part about that is a lot of the men in the manosphere aren't the aggressors. They weren't the aggressors in the relationship. They were pretty much innocent bystanders as far as physical abuse to their significant other. Whereas there's a lot of content creators that are coming in nowadays that are like, they fall into the abusive male category when it comes to this type of stuff. And you listen to them and you wonder what happens. And it's one of those things where it's like you're sitting there really listening to the stuff and trying to figure out what is it about you that made you different, or what is it about you that makes for why you actually acted the way you did, or what you did, why you did the things that you did. I did a video last night on certain topics, basically when it comes to these type of men. Basically, when I was talking about how they go about doing things that they don't necessarily have to do, or they go about doing things that are like, look, that's questionable. I'm gonna need you to explain yourself on that manner for all intents and purposes, or I'm gonna need you to, make it so that there's some type of thing going on here where like you have to explain yourself and or put them on a spot and make them actually explain their behavior for all intents and purposes. The sad part about that is not too many content creators know about these men, and we welcome them with open arms. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, they're what we fear the most in the manosphere, because You can't sit up here and tell me that we're okay with men that abuse their wives, or we're okay with men that, you know, men that, yeah, literally men that abuse their wives. We can't be okay with that, because at the end of the day, if that's the case, we're harboring people in the manosphere that are giving us a bad look, or a bad out, giving everybody else about us a bad taste in their mouth about us. The sad part about that is when this shit happens. What's up, Billy to go? When this shit happens, you have to realize as a human being that there's a reasoning behind this, and there's this reason behind this why this man is single versus what he's trying to portray in public on why he's single. The sad part about that is a lot of men will sit up here and pretend like they're not the reasoning, or they're not the reasoning behind why they're actually you know, the divorce, why they're getting divorced, or why they're why they're single or anything like that. They try to paint the woman and the guys, and the sad part about that is we're more inclined to believe them because we've been through, a lot of us has been through this shit. A lot of shit. A lot of people have been through this shit, so we feel for these people without really thinking about it, and or fully understanding the full story behind it. The sad part about that, there are a lot of men in the manosphere as of late that's gotten in the manosphere late as of late that's actually been the abuser in the relationship. You can usually tell by the way they approach things or how angry they are about or with women. And if you listen to them a lot more, you can actually tell and understand their their thought process when it comes to women. It's not the fact, and we always talk about this in the manosphere where we talk about we don't hate women the least bit. We just understand women and we want to avoid the toxic women. And some of us just want to go be left to our own devices for all intents and purposes, but most of us want to avoid the toxic women. We don't got no problem with the good women. We want to avoid the toxic women. And that's typically all it really is in the manosphere. We just want to avoid the toxic women. However, we do have some toxic men in the manosphere who have expressed some concerns and raised some eyebrows if you actually listen to them. This is typically how you understand a person. This is typically how I understand people when it comes to arguments or going about things in a certain way. You tend to understand people or other people very well by doing so. What's up, Billy Goat? What's up, Psyche Soap? What's up, Baron Yam? And whoever else has popped in that didn't talk about anything. You tend to understand this very well when you actually start talking to the person and you start diving into their mentality for all intents and purposes when you deal with these people. Because the sad part about that is we might look at them and say, well, they seem like the normal destroyed man and this, that, and the other, and they can never do any wrong and this, that, and the other, and we don't understand why they're in this predicament and this, that, and the other. Well, there's a line of reasoning why they're in this predicament for the fact that they caused their predicament. It's different from a man thinking with his dick, then all of a sudden finding out I'm getting taken to the cleaners. That's different than that man. Whereas there are these men who hide behind a guise that they done nothing wrong, when in fact they've done everything wrong in a relationship, up into battery, control, manipulation, and everything else under the sun. And they're basically trying to paint it in a way that it was their significant other's fault that got them in this mess in the first place. It's kind of funny how that works. Because if you know anything about a good example that there are a lot of men in the manosphere that are narcissists and suffer from narcissism. So I'm not shocked when I find out information, or you start listening to them and listening to what they have to talk about or their talking points, and you realize very quickly either A, this is something that happened to them in a relationship, or B, this is something that happened to somebody very, very near and dear or close to them in a relationship. So it's one of those things where you find out very quickly that this person has a gripe with a certain topic for some odd reason, because either they suffer through it themselves, or B, somebody very near and dear to them suffer from it. Simply how it works. Or they thought because they were controlling and what they thought was an alpha male in a relationship that this would never happen to them. They come to find out this is what happens, and you find out very quickly that People who harp on a certain topic or say that women of a certain age manipulate people into something. Basically, there's a narrative behind that. There's always a narrative behind that. And if you dive deeply into it, like I said, I tend to use like a wushu tactic when it comes to those type of people, where it's like I'm giving very little push in a pool basically, and you can actually understand where they're coming from. The sad part about that is I've actually heard all these arguments before. I've been doing this a lot longer than a lot of the people in the manosphere. I've been doing this a lot longer than people who have more subs than me, who speak English. So I know the difference between a person who's genuinely went through some shit and is devastated, and a person who caused their downfall, and they're the reasons why they're actually in the mess that they're in the manosphere. It's typically you got to actually be able to pick and choose and understand who's who and what's what when it comes down to it. So it's one of those things where thanks Troy man. It's one of those things as a person where it's one of those things as a human being you got to realize that when you're dealing with people, you're dealing with their narcissistic self, or you're dealing with their alter ego, or um you're dealing with people who tend to do things that are not quite seem all at first glance you think, okay, yeah, he's a hurt person, this that, and the other. I can understand where he's coming from. Then as you dive deeper into that person, you realize, no, he was the person that did all the hurting. Therefore, this is why this happened to him, and this is why he's in a predicament he's in. Because like I said, there are some new people that pop up recently, or some new people around us that they're literally abusive in a relationship. Like a good example of that, I was watching a videos from a guy that somebody linked me to. I'm not going to say his name. That somebody linked me to. He has about like 3,600 subscribers, and he does videos on his significant other. Well, come to find out, if you actually read like police reports and stuff like that, and you actually read stuff, and you do what you need to do actually do your due diligence, you come to find out that that person's actually the abuser, and the reason why the significant other is hanging out is because of that person. Um, it's not the fact that she's cheating on him. It's the fact that it's basically no different than a man, instead of coming straight home from work, he goes out to the bar, dreading coming home from work. So what happens is this person is trying to paint a portrayal that they're innocent bystander in a bad relationship with a person that's doing the wrong, when in fact they're the person actually doing the actual wrong in the relationship. And this is typically a lot of the stuff that happens, if you've ever noticed, with a lot of the people who actually preach this stuff or try to teach this stuff. It's one of those things, as a human being, you have to be able to overcome and or be willing to address as a human being on why this is happening, stuff like that. And because the sad part about that, we can all videotape something and make it look as if the person that's doing the videotaping or the person that's being videotaped is innocent. We can videotape it in a way to make them look like they're bad. We can do it in a way where we don't start videotaping, or we only show a certain portion of the videotape that actually makes the person on the tape, Jacob Blake, anybody, makes the person on the tape look like they're an innocent bystander and the cops are in the wrong. That's simply how we do things in public. The sad part about that is the more diving, what's up, Seeker? The more diving you do into a person's past or background or on a person, when it comes to it, you find out very quickly that the person who is trying to portray themselves in this savior victim complex or savior victim mentality is the person actually being the narcissist or the abuser in a relationship. The sad part about that, there's a lot of men who do this shit. What's up, Sos? But the cold hard reality behind it is the people who do this stuff, you find out very quickly that they're not exactly unicorns and rainbows or sunshine and rainbows as they make themselves out to be. The sad part about that is the more you listen to the people, the more you realize that the person that you're talking to is full of shit. The more you realize that the person you're talking to is full of shit, the more you realize that there's obviously an underlying problem with this person that is making his content for there to be like conveniently how this stuff works out, or all this stuff, works out for all intents and purposes. Because the sad part about that, like a good example of that is, like I was saying, there are a lot of men who are not cheating on their significant others who come home at all hours of the night because their significant other is annoying as hell. It's just facts. Now, there's a decent amount of men who don't cheat on their significant other, who actually just get tired of hearing their significant other's mouth and hearing them nag, that literally come home at all hours of the night because they don't want to hear their mouths. And the sad part about that, you drink enough drinks, you lose track of time. So therefore now, you plan on only staying out for a couple hours, you drink a couple drinks, you start feeling good, and you end up staying out till like 2, 3 in the morning. Simply how a lot of that stuff works. And the sad part about that, there are a lot of men who actually do this stuff and get drunk and, have a lot more fun at the bar than they do at home. That's the cold hard reality about women. I mean, men, when it comes down to it, that don't cheat on significant other, there are a lot of them that literally spend time at the bar, only plan on being there for a couple of hours, end up having way too much fun that they normally don't have at home, so they end up staying a lot longer than they need to. Now their significant others claiming it, swearing, but now they're cheating on them, when in fact they're really not. They're just having fun, something that they don't get at home. It's typically how this works. So when you actually deal with these people, and at the same token, it's basically, what you just said right there, Billy the Goat. You're basically dealing with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde for all intents and purposes when it comes to these people. When they're on their YouTube videos, they make themselves look like they're innocent and stuff like that, and they talk the most shit and stuff like that. But if you could tell by their temperament and their manner, if you pay attention to their temperament and their manner, when it comes down to it, you realize that they're not the person that they're trying to portray in a bad light isn't really the bad person. They're the bad person who's actually doing this and filming this and going about it in this manner. If you actually listen to their temperament and their justification, and you realize that the narcissistic tendencies in them start to peak. If you've ever noticed, the narcissistic tendencies in them start to peak in parts of the video, but then they realize that it's starting to show. Their teeth are starting to show. Their fangs are starting to show, so they go back to hiding their fangs again. That's typically how they act and are. Because the sad part about that is, if you ever notice about these people, they're willing to put their significant other and their children online, but they're not willing to put themselves online. You ever notice this stuff? And the sad part about that is, if you ever look at it, they're basically malignant narcissists, hiding behind a camera, trying to expose people for being normal people for all intents and purposes. That's the cold hard reality of the day. And the sad part about that is, you run into a lot of these people that, who are on the internet making videos about people, and you realize that they're basically abusive people, and they ain't shit motherfuckers, basically. They ain't shit niggas. And when I say ain't shit niggas, I don't mean black people. I mean white people, black people, Chinese people, Puerto Ricans, Asian. It don't matter what you are. In my book, use a nigga if you's an ain't shit nigga, basically. Use a nigga, everybody's a nigga in my book for all intents and purposes. And if you's an ain't shit nigga, use an ain't shit nigga from every single type of race or every walk of life for all intents and purposes. So typically you learn more about these people by listening to them and listening to their temperament. And the sad part about that is, the reason why a lot of people get frustrated with me in debates is because I've been doing this a lot longer than them, and I know every single tactic that they're going to use in this debate. I know every single thing that they're going to say in this debate because I've dealt with this in English, in Spanish, in Russian, in Albanian, Hebrew, Arabic, Portuguese, and you name it. When it comes to languages, I've dealt with this in many languages. I pretty much know how this argument's going to end. I pretty much know how you're going to frame your argument, and I pretty much know you based on your personality type. How you're going to frame your argument, how you're going to try to finish your argument, and how you're going to try to beat me at this is just the fact that I just know this about you based on cultural and temperament and your character. So I know everybody. When I say I know everybody's argument, I literally know your argument, and I know how you're going to try to present it to me because I've been doing this for 14 years. I've been doing this shit for 14 years. Let it be on YouTube or let it be in an office where I'm listening to people try to paint themselves in positive lights. I know how this shit works. I know how the mind works, and I know when you're trying to manipulate me into believing something that's actually not true, when there's studies done on this shit to actually let you know that what you're saying is bullshit. So typically how this works is I basically use a wushu tactic to actually understand a person and understand a person's temperament, their mental fortitude, and how they're going to react to me. So typically, that's pretty much how I get a just for who the human being is and who the person is, and it's pretty much all it really is. I'm basically learning you very quickly based on a wushu tactic or a wushu technique. So basically, think of it like there's this technique where like you literally have both your hands and you put your wrist against another person's wrist, and or you put your arm up in a chopping position or a knife position, or you put it up in like the monkey position, and you put it up against their wrist, and you do this exercise where you go back and forth with a person. Is all it really is. That's pretty much what all the tactic really is. And the sad part about that, you can tell I'm actually doing it in real time with a person based on their mental resolve or their mental fortitude. I'm not doing it to basically belittle you or berate you. I'm doing it so I can get a gauge of your personality, so I can actually get a complete picture of who you are as a human being. It's very quick, and it happens so quickly you don't even realize it's happening. So when I actually do it and I respond to you, you're like, well, you're wrong, and this, that, and the other, you're wrong. Well, why are you getting angry about this if I'm wrong? If I'm wrong, you should be able to debate this without getting angry about it and kicking me out of a stream. This is typically how this stuff works. And the sad part about that, because I understand this and I understand human beings like this well, it's one of those things where it's like, come on now, guy. You can pull the eyes over everybody else's. You can pull the wool over everybody else's eyes, but you can't pull it over my eyes because I pay attention to things, and I've been doing this for 14 fucking years. 14 fucking years. There's no way in hell, there's nothing that you can possibly bring to me that'll make me go, oh, wow, that was brand new. I never was expecting that. No, there's nothing you can bring to me. There's no argument or anything you can bring to me that actually will literally make me go, oh, I got to take a step back and actually listen to this and actually respond to this properly. I've actually heard it all before. From narcissistic women to narcissistic men to narcissistic teenagers to narcissistic teenage women to narcissistic old ass women to narcissistic elderly ass women to narcissistic men. I've heard all this stuff before. There's nothing under the sun that you could bring to me that I'm not already going to know about and have some knowledge in, because I've heard it all from everybody, from every single walk of life, from every single culture. I've heard it before. So you as a man cannot bring me no stuff that I'm not able to beat down or bat away for all intents and purposes. Or in this case, Thanos snap out of existence in a debate. There's nothing you can bring to me argument-wise that will actually make me backtrack or step down in a debate. There's very few people in the manosphere who can actually beat me outright in a debate without bringing like all this extra shit. And I hate to be. There's like about 7. I'll go 8 to be nice. There's about 8 people in the manosphere that can literally beat me in an outright debate without trying to use any crazy tactics or anything like that, or anything like the people or a lot of people on the streams are trying to use. There's only 8 people in the whole entire manosphere that can beat me in a debate, and the top 2 are Sandman and TFM. TFM is a diabolical genius. So I know that if I go in a debate with TFM, I'm going to have my work cut out for me, and I'm going to have to be extra ready when I go into the debate with him. The same thing goes with Sandman. Everybody always talks about he's this and he's that and he's this and he's that. Sandman is actually highly intelligent. He's ridiculously intelligent. And the sad part about that is we always talk about his content being fast food, but at the end of the day, his content is basically the same as Coach Greg Adams. Nobody has a problem with Coach Greg Adams' content. I think the only reason why a lot of people have a problem with his content is because he does it in a certain way or a manner to basically mask his voice, so you don't recognize his voice in public. So he typically uses that nasally voice on purpose. So when you actually meet him in public, you don't recognize him, nor do you recognize his voice. So you don't really understand you don't really fully understand who Sandman is in public, for the fact that he uses that nasally voice on purpose. There's not too many ways that you can mask your voice with a voice changer and somebody pretty much strip it away and find out what your voice is. Now, if you use a nasally speaking tone, like doing it through your nose or sounding nasally, you can actually manipulate your voice to the point where even if they use a voice changer, like voice changer stripper software, you still sound like that no matter what. there's no way you can strip it away. And typically, it's very good at mask. That's the best way you can mask your voice without using any electronics by using that nasally voice for all intents and purposes, or that monotone nasally or that monotone nasally voice or the monotone voice. You can mask your voice a lot better. So when somebody meets you in public, depending on what your mic looks like or your mic setup is, they pretty much won't recognize your voice in public. You're able to go undetected even if you're speaking in public, or even if you're at speaking engagements in public. And it's typically why, if you ever notice, when Sandman does interviews with people versus when Sandman does videos, he sounds way drastically different. Like the one interview he did for like 3 hours, he sounded way different than he did in his normal videos. So this stuff is done on purpose so he can mask his voice. It's typically how that works. And it's stuff like that that people don't seem to understand or get, that makes it so that, makes it so that, it makes it so when you actually deal with these people, it's one of those things where, like, you're literally dealing with a narcissist. You're literally dealing with somebody who is trying to manipulate or gain sympathy like women do for they're basically trying to get sympathy points for what they went through, what they claim they went through, when in fact, they, don't get me wrong, they did go through it, but at the end of the day, a lot of these men actually caused their own downfall by doing this. It's like I said, it's fundamentally different than if you were thinking with your small head, you got into a relationship with a woman and you didn't really fully think it through, and you come out washed out, you come out on the other side, taken to the cleaners. That's different than a man who's pretty much caused his own downfall based on his personality, being controlling and being abusive in a relationship, or being, verbally assaulting people in a relationship for all intents and purposes. There's a difference in the interactions for all intents and purposes. So what you can't do is sit up here and tell me that you're perfectly innocent when in fact you're really not all that innocent. You're basically trying to manipulate everybody into believing that you're innocent, and you were the aggressor and the abuser in the relationship for all intents and purposes. The sad part about that is when people do this, everybody tends to always come to the rescue because they basically have a similar story to that person. However, what they don't know about that person is they're leaving out extra information that is pertinent to why they're in this mess in the first place. They're leaving out extra information for why it is that, they are who they are, and they are who they are, and why they are who they are for all intents and purposes, and why they're in the predicament that they're in. They leave out all this pertinent information. And the sad part about that, you can't sit up here and pretend like you're innocent when in fact you're the one who actually caused your downfall. You can't sit up here and pretend like you're innocent when in fact you're the reasoning why you're actually single. You're the reasoning why you got sent your own way. And typically, I don't really use that term too often, but there are some men that literally got sent their own way. The sad part about that, there's a difference between being sent your own. Like when I say sent your own way, I don't mean men that got taken to the cleaners that never seen it coming. I mean men who literally are the downfall in their own relationships, that literally that thought they were on top of the world and they would never leave them, and they would never, they thought they were basically invincible in their relationship for all intents and purposes. I like that, Seeker. That's a good one. Tico sounds like he's fixed in his cyberpunk upgrade armor. Basically, I am. So it's one of those things as a human being, you have to realize as a human being that you're the reasoning why you're in this mess. You're the reasoning why you're single and or you're divorced and you don't have custody of your children. Like, you have to be able to accept responsibility. And the sad part about that, I always talk about this in my videos, that we have a lot of angry men in the manosphere who are still going through red pill rage, that they still need to address the red pill rage, but they don't think they're going through red pill rage, and they think they're perfectly fine, and they really need to address that. So it's one of those things where you also got to take in consideration too that there are a lot of people in the manosphere who are in the manosphere on their own on their own volition, own negative volition. That's to say. Let me not say it like that, because there are men that just walk in and go, fuck it, I'm in a manosphere, I don't want to take no chances on this shit. Then there are men that literally put themselves in a manosphere due to their actions to their significant others. It's sad, but it's so true. It is very sad and true. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to sit up here and convince me that you were perfectly innocent and you've done nothing wrong, and you're this perfectly innocent human being that that got done wrong by these random people, when in fact, when you go look at the thing, when you go look at it and you listen to their personality and their temperament and their mental fortitude, you find out very quickly that they were the problem in the relationship. They were the problem in the relationship, and their significant other was doing nothing more than protecting themselves from this human being. I'm willing to admit that in the manosphere that we got some people like this. It's true. And in about like 4 minutes, I'm about to start inviting people into the last stream to actually put their 2 cents in. So be ready to be invited in if you want into the live stream. But at the end of the day, you have to realize and have to be very discerning to the people we let in their circles, or the people we actually give high value to, that don't deserve it for all intents and purposes. There are a lot of people in the manosphere who don't deserve our praise and admiration, who fucked up their own relationships. There are a lot of men in the manosphere who do things and who manipulate a situation to make them look like the good guy. There are a lot of men in the manosphere who paint their ways, and they paint themselves in a guise that, I don't understand why she did this. We just woke up one day and she did this to me. When in fact, they're the actual prime reason on why this happened to themselves. You usually tell by their mentality and how they view people in the opposite sex. Not everybody in the manosphere view and have this disdain for women like they do. Not everybody in the manosphere hate women. That's not something that the manosphere actually does. We don't mind women. We just distrust women who are very toxic. We don't mind good women who got a nice head on their shoulders and are doing good by their men, or doing right by everybody for all intents and purposes. We have no problem with those people. The sad part about that is we're not dealing with those type of people. We're dealing with people. We're dealing with a lot of toxic women. So it's very hard. It's very hard to paint everybody. It's very hard to actually get the good people out of the bunch, for the fact that when the majority of the society is under the guise of feminism or feminist or traditionalism, and they're basically being very selfish, you can't really say that this, that, and the other, and all this stuff, when in fact you're the very reason why you're in this mess. You're the very reason why you got yourself into the mess that you got yourself into. That's typically how this stuff works. Because you can't sit up here and tell me that, this, that, and the other, and you can't believe that, you were left and this, that, and the other. Like, no, that's not how this works. You did something wrong. You have to own up to it and fess up to it and make it so that you right the wrongs. Is basically what you have to do. You can't sit up here and act like you're innocent when in fact you're the reason why you're in the mess you're in the first place. That's the cold hard reality. We have a lot of men that do this stuff on a regular basis, then wonder how they get into the messes that they get into. But I'm going to invite people into the stream now, since I hit the 40-minute mark. So you can come into the stream if you want to put your 2 cents in on this. There goes the link in the description box below. Let's do this. As I start up the other channel for after party purposes. Baron Yam enters the house. What's up?
Hey man, how you doing, man?
You're simple as hell. Go.
Train, hey, man, I was listening to your live stream, and I was going for a walk, doing my thing after work, and I realized that you're absolutely correct. And these men, they act like the Rockefellers and the banking industry, just kind of sucking the life out of people. And
Oh,
it's and
good
it's
Lord.
it's, it's honestly it's draining. It's honestly it's emotionally draining, man. And these people, they don't know the difference between having a mentality of improving themselves in life and buying Bitcoin and silver and gardening and understanding the difference between that. And it's just it's mind blowing. It's honestly you're delusional. You're delusional, mate. Is what I want to tell them most of the time.
Oh, good Lord.
But yeah, I heard you. I heard you going off, and I had to come in and share some of my experiences.
Hmm.
Because I'm I really feel this deeply in my soul, and I thought I had to share it. I had to share the
Whatever.
information.
Yeah.
So uh,
Be serious
hey,
now.
but hey, Tico, how you doing?
Hi.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
Good.
Are you wearing a mask right now?
Yeah, I am.
I can tell.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for everyone else to show up. Because I feel like it's a really pressing issue, and if Black and Red Pill Philosophy shows up with his mask, and Sci-Fi shows up with his mask too, we could all have a fun. And Shinobi one, if he showed up too, we'd all be kind of like in a masquerade or like a ball or something. And
Mhm. Simpleton.
for sure, for sure. No, but I thought I'd do the impersonation just for Seeker.
Yes, for Seeker.
Just for
I
Seeker.
kind of figured we were doing it for Seeker.
Yeah,
Let's see
but
what
yeah.
Hammerhand. And Hammerhand might be busy. I don't know why I'm about to try to send him this, but I'm going to send him a link to this lovely thing if he can make it.
Uh-huh.
And somebody else just joined because I just heard him beep. And it
Well, I
is
just,
Freight
I
Train.
just,
Freight. What do you call
yeah.
it? Freight Train Mindset. You're simple as hell. We got Psyche
Does
Soap in
he?
the house.
Freight train mindset. That's right. Anybody who's got a problem, y'all know exactly what's gonna happen. If y'all sitting on the tracks and you're complaining that the train's coming, all you gotta do is just step off those tracks, baby. Baby.
Facts. What's up, Mr. Pharma? Do you want it, Mr. Pharma?
Yay! Come in, Mr. Farmer! Yay! It's
Hello,
the
everybody.
birthday!
Happy
Woo!
birthday. Happy birthday,
How
Saki
you
Soap. Saki
doing?
Soap.
Happy birthday, Psyche Soap.
Well, why, thank you, fellas. I miss you guys.
We miss you too,
I miss you
silly.
too, yes. I miss you too.
Oh,
I wish
man.
you were here. I wish you were here. You can look at my garden. Kind of got some gardening going on. Some potatoes
Oh,
and
cool.
tomatoes.
Do I get my pick? Do I get my pick? What do I get?
Yes.
Which one?
Yes.
Which one? What you got in the garden? In the garden.
You can have one of the aloe vera plants. Aloe vera.
Oh, cool. I
Because
got this really bad cut on my elbow.
yeah, or to soothe the burns that you get from exposing yourself to Tico's Tico's videos. Like me, sometimes when it
Whatever.
feels good. If I get a sore throat.
Yeah,
I get a
it
sore
burns
throat
that
from
out.
I get a sore throat
Yeah.
from spurging out on his channel, so I have to put Vicks Vapor up because it's like I've just been like yelling so much, and being like, "Yo, blood, did the thing, blood. Like, how you gonna know how to knock a bitch if you ain't ever knocked a bitch before, blood? Like that kind of stuff. That kind of
You're simple.
stuff.
Wow, dude. I see what you did there.
Thank you. It's all in good fun. I mean, like, there's certain people that can't have a good time or can't laugh at themselves, and I don't think any of us should feel like stopping our whole entire everything we built up to this point just to appease. It's like those people that stopped in front of the ambulance in protest because those cops got shot. It's like why would you stop trying to help people just because some idiot basically doesn't want you to perform treatment on somebody because of the color of their skin or because of their life, where they come from, their culture, or their behavior. It just doesn't make any sense. So it's like these people, what you have to do is basically just keep going with your idea, and then just bust past them if they're not able to accept it, because they choose to stand in front of you. They choose to come to you. They choose to be in front of you all the time. So you guys know what I'm talking about. It's not for anyone else to, I guess, debate on or agree to or anything, because that's just my mentality, my mindset about the whole thing. So, and that's what we're here to do, is just share our mindset.
Okay, and then more to the topic, man.
Yeah.
I had to take ownership in the long-term relationships that I've went through, and I've had 3 major ones going over 3 years, right? So, long story short, in that, I was the common denominator in all 3 of them, and in that last one, the dude, fuck it. I'm leaving her for me this time. I'm going my own way.
Yeah.
I had to take myself out of that shit.
Yeah,
I was the lowest common denominator for all of that shit.
For me, it was kind of like they wanted to take that, like, or they take their insecurities and they project it onto you, and they make you feel like you're the person that should lash out, when really they're lashing out, but they're just not doing it in front of you. They're doing it with somebody else, or they have a vice, or they have something that they're clinging to or holding on to that's limiting them. And then so you have to make the decision at that point to either, like I said, to either just keep doing what you're doing because you're not doing anything wrong, you're just being yourself,
right.
Or to just check out. Like to me, checking out a relationship is pretty much as bad as not leaving, or it is not leaving. Like, checking out is basically the same as I guess, like, doing something bad just to get kicked out, because you're not really participating. And that's something that I did, like, for my last relationship, because it was like, all right, you don't want to, like, respect me. I'm not gonna be over here begging for your sympathy anymore. I'm just gonna do what I need to do to keep going to keep doing what I'm doing, and, like, focus on myself. And if you're not with me focusing on myself, then that's fine. I don't even. Oh, you kick me out? Oh, that's fine. I've been preparing to leave, anyways. So it's like one of those things.
I'm sure some of the fellas in the audience, as well as you two brothers, have either experienced it or watched someone go through this,
Right.
And that's they had to take themselves out of that relationship. The man, in my case, me, had to take myself out of the relationship because my chick at the time was too chicken shit to end it.
Yeah,
I had to save her from myself. In essence, I had to save her from myself before it got worse. In this case,
Yeah, because there was moments where I was like, if I wasn't raised like right, you would be in some serious trouble. Like or if you were not, if you were like a little bit more brave, you probably would get yourself into trouble with me, messing with me like how you were messing with me. And it's just like I said, it's a lack of self-awareness and a lack of honesty with oneself and acknowledging oneself's problems. So then anything that you got that they don't like, they just start to pick at it bit by bit, and then make you feel like, gaslight you, make you feel inadequate, make you feel like nothing that you care about matters. And then you kind of got to, once that starts happening, if you're cohabitating with them, you just got to check out. You just got to just like take the mask off and then just be in there. Yeah, be in there. And then if she doesn't like it, then whoever's in control of the relationship at that point, they'll basically make their decision. They'll leave, or they'll do. Oh, sorry. Were you trying to intentionally cover me up?
No, I'm trying to cover you up.
Oh, okay.
What are you doing?
Just let me see. What?
I was Lord So says never. Baron, he's laugh out loud. Baron never changed.
I will never change. Never change. Hashtag static. Yeah.
He's a hashtag static. Look at him.
Don't start none, won't be none.
This is a one stop. Yeah, this is a non-stop train. If you get in the way, just
Simple as hell.
And that is not violence. That is not being violent. It's violence if they're standing in front of the tracks, you pull over the train, you get out, and you like blow their brains out or something, or you literally cater to them until they piss you off and you retaliate against that. If you're just naturally going your own way and somebody happens to fall in front of you or fall in front of, like I've heard Tico say
What's
before,
up, Mega Man?
and he's right. It's like you're not responsible for people not knowing their environment and not knowing to get out of their environment if it's not suiting them. And what's good for you may be a maelstrom of crazy stuff for somebody else, and it's not your responsibility to claim responsibility for how that person feels. It's like it's your feelings, they're not my feelings. And another thing to go with that is you also have to just admit your responsibility in it and your place in it, and not think that every woman out here is just like
and
going to react the same way. Yeah.
And
Hey,
ownership
Billy the
is
Goat,
being
I sent
taken.
you Billy the Goat, I sent you a link in Discord if you want to come in.
All right, cool. And ownership is to be taken when one does that. One must take ownership of their feelings as well as their actions. You know what I'm saying? In the course of one of those relationships, you know what I mean? Gosh, man, it's been a minute since I've been in one. Thank goodness.
And that mental health rate collapsed. And this is what happens.
Feels
is
better
that
now.
These people become so exhausted, so drained that their mask represents them better than who they are inside. So it's like their mask is constantly, because they put themselves in they choose to put themselves in the stressful situation all the time. And for me, it's like I think that's why sometimes I rationalize my like customer service jobs and stuff, because it's like I put myself in a lot of uncomfortable positions so much that like somebody just casually nagging me to do something is nothing. It's like nothing. It's like a walk in the park. Like it's compared to the rest of the stuff that I try to deal with. It's like that kind of stuff is just kind of like muscle memory for me. And I like to just like what is it, like not project, but like cycle that emotion back out and through to the person, because it's like I didn't come to you, you came to me. So it's like one of those things where it's like if you bring a bunch of negativity towards me, I'm basically just gonna reflect it out back to you. And that's something I learned going just try to pull myself up by my own bootstraps and learn the world through the only way that I know how, which is to work and earn it and work for it and assess myself and reflect on myself. So
cool. Yeah, man. Now that I've hit my 40th year and shit like that, was looking back on it fondly last year, and it's been okay. Hope I don't jinx myself, because admittedly, fellas, I shot my 20s. I fucked them up badly, man. You know? And into my 30s, I spent most of my 30s, piecing things together that I fucked up in my 20s. And now in my 40s, I'm like, wow, this is great. You know what I'm saying? Why didn't I think of this before? And, like a yoke is being lifted off my shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Ever since finding that red pill. But I often describe the red pill as kind of like a DMT or like a hallucinogenic that jars the fuck out of you, man. And, you come out on the other side of it, looking back at all of the visuals you've seen in that drug called the red pill. And you go, what the fuck? That's what I was in? And then the aftermath was basically me in my 40s doing that. Man, thank goodness for doing that. And wow, I feel better, man. That's all I can say about that. Shit.
Apparently, Seeker misses a Hawking jam.
That's what I was trying. I was like, we need a bigger universal philosophy to help men avoid black holes and consuming large parts of their life due to stupidity and a lack of self-awareness. Be a better person, and you will notice things in your life will drastically begin to change. Oh. And by the way,
Yeah, hell yeah. Awesome,
do
yeah.
the right thing, please, for your countrymen. Thank you.
Oh
Thank
shit, Stephen Hawking's in the building, fam. Oh shit, the best birthday ever, dude. Woo!
Yeah. I would like to be.
I can't wait to turn 40.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I would like to be
I got
25
years to
and
go.
be. I would like to be 40 and be financially free, financially independent. And I would like to get there as soon as possible. If it's 35 or 30 or however long it takes.
Sounds
So,
reasonable.
yeah,
And
50 maybe based on the because it'd be
Go ahead,
realistic.
man.
It's like because it's like even though I might not know that there was mistakes I made in the past that are gonna catch up with me, it's like at least be realistic, like how long you want it to take. And it's pretty much Princess La La Land Disneyland that makes us think that we're gonna get everything that we're gonna get next year, or that we need next year, or like within a couple years, or within a few years. But it's like this, like what Sakito was saying, this stuff's gonna take a long ass time to actually piece together. Like me, I'm still trying to piece stuff together. I can admit that, like that there's not a lot of things that are completely figured out. But I'm not gonna be like sitting here listening to somebody who thinks they got it all figured out and like be like, oh yeah, oh really, oh this, oh very nice, oh I'd like to know more about that. And how exactly would you knock a bitch back, or how exactly would you have her lick your boots and things like this? Please elaborate on this. Tell me more about this. You know, I'm not like that.
All right, see you, Mega Man.
Like no.
Mr. He apparently he's too scared to get in my live stream anymore. He's too scared.
I'm surprised he didn't plug his channel. Just like, hey guys, go out.
And speaking of which, too, I'd like to say another thing briefly as well. And I'm appreciative of being able to have these dialogues with brothers like yourselves. Thanks so much for having me on, Tico. Real shit. Because, dog, hey, I gotta tell y'all, if I'd have had you guys as homies, I'd say 20 years ago, I probably would be, financially independent well into my 40s by now. I had to get that way as a result of, after, what they say after turning 35 and shit. Big head thinking for the little head. And, I started late, basically. But, I would have started early. If we were having knocking back a few drinks at the bar, talking about this shit, And in conclusion, I am fucking appreciative of having y'all around. This is a good way to spend a birthday to me. Shit, I've had some shit ones, man, I'll tell you.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Plus, I kind of remember
my birthday's coming up too. I knew we were alike. Astrological.
I remember it was your birthday.
I
was like, I gotta do a live stream at least for Psyche Surf's birthday. I cannot not do a live stream. So I moved this live stream back to your birthday. I gotta do a live stream. I was gonna actually put up a video originally and call it a day.
Well,
Nice.
You get what you take. You take what you been given. I'm all right with that. I got the I'm holding back on the back catalog though. But once I get back from this little here mini vacay real quick and spa out, treat my motherfucking self, fellas. What the hell? You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that. I always say that at the end of my videos. Treat yourself like milk, and don't spoil yourself. Do it.
Definitely.
Well, I
Do
mean,
it.
there's a couple ways.
I agree.
There's a couple ways. There's at least two ways that you could take that. You could take that as in like, actually, do something for yourself, or go out and get something that to validate yourself. And I think a lot of people go for the former as opposed to the latter. It's like whatever you got to do.
You mean the
That's good
latter
for you.
portion of the former?
Or
You
the
mean.
latter.
As
Yeah,
opposed to the
that's what I was
former.
You mean the latter
say.
portion of the former? I know what you meant.
More
Yeah,
so
yeah,
the
yeah.
latter than the former. Hey.
Yeah, and it's kind of upsetting because like but at the same time you can't really get mad at what people like want to do. Like they're going to get what they want at the end of the day. It's kind of, I'm trying to actually bring it back to something you were saying, but it's not happening quite well. But like I think it's all about like they think that getting a woman is like spoiling themselves when it's really like they have to constantly change who they are in order to be accepted by this woman or by multiple different women. So it's kind of like they're just alternating, like rotating themselves as a product. Like they're always trying to become new, always trying to have a new image, always trying to have a new mask, because they like wear out the one that they use so much just to like get access to the same exact channel. Yeah, it's like you're talking about the neural pathways and stuff, like the way that they create things in their head, or to like make it easier to do those kinds of things that make them
Yeah.
a huge
Make it
target
second nature, basically.
for other
Makes it second
people.
nature
Yeah,
to you. Yeah.
and I realize that it's like it's not narcissist's fault that you are a victim to them. It's your fault that you're putting yourself in the path
Line of
of
fire with a narcissist.
their
Yeah.
line of fire. Yeah, so it's like, okay, that's an easy decision to make. Just just ghost out, go the other way. But if you think that you're stuck on the tracks, then you're gonna think of all this delusional kind of ways, like, oh, maybe I gotta charge at the train, or maybe I gotta lay a bomb on the tracks, or maybe I got to call the person who's conducting it and try to convince them to stop before they get to me. And it's like, why are you there? Why are you there?
Like, how the hell you get this far? Why don't you just get the hell off the track?
Well, if you look at cowboys, or like they used to ride up alongside of the train with a horse that could follow the train's pace, and then they would hop on and then go into the conductor, and then they would be able to loot the entire train. Whereas like if you just stand in front of the tracks and be like, this is us. We demand that you pull over so that we can take everything. The train's just gonna be like, nah, dude, I'm sorry, I can't stop. You're getting run over. You're getting run over.
Because the sad part about that, what a lot of people don't know, back in the day, trains used to go a lot slower than they go now. Don't get me wrong, there are some trains that go pretty slow, but like, so a horse can actually run up on the side of a train back in the day, unlike really like now, unfortunately, because the trains go quite a bit quicker. A lot of the ones where they have like people on it go quite a bit quicker. So unless you're riding a cheetah, you're not catching that train unless it's going slow or it's going through a slow area. For all intents and purposes, usually how that works. Like a good example of a slow area in Pittsburgh would be the north side. They have to go under a certain amount of speed, basically, so you can ride up on a train and jack it with a horse, which will probably be pointless in a north side because it's a pretty dangerous neighborhood, and they do got a lot of crime over there. So you riding up on a horse will probably get you shot before you get to the train. But you know what I mean, for all intents and purposes. But like, yeah, it's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, very much. And I'm trying to think of what I was talking about with wind, but it's like something that always used to happen to me, where I would just let people just tell me anything and humor them and believe it. And so it's kind of like one of those things where now I have to unlearn all that stuff, and I have to do it in a timely manner, and I can't just sit back and complain about it like it never happened, or complain about it like I had never had any part in it. And it's like it's all about like stopping trying to make yourself sound so innocent, making yourself sound so vulnerable, making yourself sound so like just you can't do anything about your problems. And it's all about just like being like honest. Like, yeah, I did mess up. I am a messed up person. I do mess up and do dumb stuff. And as to be honest, it's about like having people that'll jump in and do that dumb stuff with you sometimes, that a lot of people like they want or they crave, because then they don't have to change. They don't have to be a better person. They can just sit and wallow in their own like self-pity.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know about cluster B and stuff while I was dating, because the way that I would date is I kind of would just be myself, or I would like perform, or I would not to please anybody else, but just it's kind of like what Tico talks about, just ironing out the chops for a session, you know. And sometimes that session was up on stage in front of hundreds of people. Sometimes that session was just when I was in the practice room or something. But that kind of like stick-to-itiveness is really the only thing that I really had to use in order to attract people who I didn't necessarily have anything in common with. And yeah, that's kind of what I would say happened. Is like I just had a talent, people liked it, so a bunch of people came drawn to me, and that's a very intoxicating feeling to have people just surrounding you, all because they think. And I'm like, the way I think about it sometimes is like, I hear people who will try to make you feel like they'll try to make you just confused, or they'll try to play some music or something, or sing a song or something to like get you to think something in your head about a situation, where it's like, I'm a singer. I sing profusely. I sing all the time, but I don't sing at those times, or I don't play music at it just so I can make people feel something. It's more just as a personal pursuit. Sorry if that doesn't make sense the way I'm saying it, but it's kind of getting at to like what the narcissist does, or how the narcissist actually operates. They try to like frame everything just to get you to feel like you don't know, or like they try to influence your habits or your behavior by putting themselves there in front of you, or putting an idea in front of you, and like watching how you emote to that idea or to them.
Yeah,
which if you're on your grind, if you're on your purpose, like, you pretty much ignore them, which will trigger them, and it will cause them to want to just annihilate you, or not necessarily, they'll just remove their mask and show you who they truly are. Is how I've like noticed it happen a lot of times.
Very true.
So yeah. Oh shoot, don't know about that.
Yeah, very true. Very, very true. And that's typically one of those things where like you have to understand as a human being that this is what's happening, and you have to accept what's happening, and you're probably the responsible party for why it's happening. And if you can assess that properly, you can actually become a better human being and realize that just maybe you can redeem yourself in the market if you're the one who destroyed your relationship yourself. What you can't do is say, well, it was all her fault, and you're the one that was the abusive one. You're the one that did all the abusing. You're the one that got arrested. You're the reasoning behind all this stuff. And the sad part about that is, I was listening to this guy's videos that somebody pointed me to, and I said, this dude is just, yeah, no, because he was basically, the way he was actually trying to portray himself as he was the innocent victim, but he was actually being very hostile with the officer, and the officer was responding in a hostile manner, basically, because he was starting to get very hostile with the officer. So it's one of those things where he's trying to make himself seem like, well, the officer got hostile with me for no reason, and I called the officer because, you know, this, that, and the other, and my wife did this, that, and the other to me. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, they both were swinging back and forth at each other, and the cops were called. He was just as guilty as the other person, but because he's a man, he was swinging back and forth at it with his wife. That's the reason why the cop was actually being very hostile towards him. But he tried to paint it in a way that his wife was beating him up, and he did nothing wrong, when in fact he actually was actually going back and forth with his wife. Huh?
Oh, it's like you can't hide hostility if it's inside you.
Oh yeah, you definitely
So
can.
so when you're explaining a situation how it went to another person and trying to explain how you're a victim in it, some of that hostility leaks through your facade. I like when Chris Watts was describing his what it would fixate on describing his kids to the police officers that were interrogating him. You could tell that he was hiding some of the hostility that he felt for his wife for never letting him actually control anything about his family. And so it's like it's like a complete revolution of how he truly feels, and you can see that whenever he mentions them in past tense, like, oh, they were such good kids, and she would always run up to me and tackle me, and she would always uh, she would always she was always so caring of her little sister, and you can tell that there's something deeply rooted inside of that individual that's making him want to like alter the story, and they hide it so well for people who aren't trained to actually see it. They hide it so that literally nobody else can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like a
You literally
code.
have to be paying.
It's
You literally
almost
have to
like
be
a
paying
code. It's
attention.
almost like a secret. It's almost like a secret understanding, because that's why they can notice each other and form alliances with each other, and to try to bribe a person like this, to try to engage a person like this, would be trying to like bribe the mafia or bribe a mob boss. You can sure he might accept it on the front end, but in the end he's going to use that against you. It's going to all come back towards you, full force. So it's like that's not a good strategy, I would say. The value for value with a narcissist is like, it's tainted, because there's nothing you can actually do to fight back against them. You have to just like, get out of the way and let them carry out whatever they're going to carry out, or
Yeah,
try to
very
get them
true.
to think about why you're not the person that can actually solve their problems, why they might need some extra help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's not speaking about all of them, because like Tico was saying, it's like sometimes it's about the beautiful perfect ones have a completely different tactic than the ones that are, I guess, trying to hide their view of themselves, which is not really that accurate, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hide their view
True
of
story.
themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, it's like I've like, in doing this, I've developed a lot of self admonishment tendencies, and it's not myself, it's just the animal of the narcissist. It's like the animal of them in my head when I'm doing something that I like, telling me that it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and it's kind of one of those things that it just like it makes me feel bad. It makes me lose sight of who I am. It makes me wonder who I am. It makes me question everything about myself. And I would just
Trust me,
urge.
it's really going to. And that's the sad part about it, is it's really going to. And it's one of those things where it's like, you literally have to psychologically be able to accept the fact that it's going to go that way, or accept the fact that it's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to. Not everything is your fault. Sometimes it is your fault, but not all the time is it your fault. And it's one of those things where typically you have to be able to deal with the fallout or the outcome to a situation, and or assess it properly. It's simply like what I like to say about truth. Everybody loves the truth until it's about them. Then they become upset with you or everybody else around you for the fact that it's the truth. Or as I always say,
what do you think about, like, because there was a joke that you said where it was about like the MRAs that have their kid, and they want the kid to be a better version of themselves.
That was the MGTOW. That was the MGTOW. That was the MGTOW. That was like basically I was talking about the birth of MGTOW. There was like a meme where it was talking about the birth of MGTOW. Basically what happened is, when it comes to the MRAs, apparently there's a lot of MRAs that broke away from MRAs because they got tired of like trying to do things and get things done, basically. And they were basically then on top of that, they were basically trying to vote men talk about men's rights while letting women into the movement that destroyed the whole entire movement. So these men basically end up being the pillars in or the original stepping stones that became MGTOW for all intents and purposes. So they went from going for men's rights to fuck it, we're going our own way then, since we all want to make this, and this is the reason why we trying to get away from this, and this is the reason why we're in this mess in the first place, because of these women. Now they destroyed our whole entire movement. Now our movement has their legs on it. Now it's damn near dead. And now we're trying to rebuild, and we can never rebuild. So now we might as well go to MGTOW. So typically, a lot of the groups on Facebook, they'll say MRA MGTOW or MRA to MGTOW, basically. If you've ever noticed, there's a lot of MRA to MGTOW groups, and typically the meme goes, there's a grown ass man sitting there on a bench, and he has MRA written on his chest, and there's a little boy sitting there at the bench, and it has MGTOW written across his chest, and the little boy asks, "Daddy, why was I created?" And the dad turns to the kid and goes, "Because I needed a better version of myself to teach men how to be masculine."
Yeah, it's pretty subversive if you ask me. Like, I know that there's a lot of people in this community that I've entered in recently that think that being masculine is about enforcing your will over other people so that they can acquiesce to your worldview.
Well, no, because the sad part about that, I'm a very masculine person. I've never once had to enforce my will over somebody or anybody for that matter. And the sad part about that, even as a criminal, I've never had to enforce my will over anybody. Everybody usually goes with, okay, yeah, fuck it, it's Tico. We're just going to go along with this and not really fuck with them, because 9 times out of 10, there will be a lot of there'll probably be a lot of bloodshed and a lot of people, a lot of deaths and a lot of caskets and this, that, and the other. So typically, we're just going to go with Tico on this matter because he's fucking Tico. So typically, people pretty much go along with me because they're scared of what I can do. It's basically like what I said about this one dude that borrowed money from me one time. This dude is so fucking annoying. Because I'm from Central America, he borrowed money from me and he couldn't pay me back on time. He literally came to me scared and says, "Well, Tico, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to pay you back on Tuesday." What had happened was they had messed up my check, and I could he's literally like scared of me, thinking I'm going to do something because of the images they get from people from Central America. So he look, Tico, yeah, I'll pay. I promise. I'll pay you back on Wednesday. They still don't have this handle by Wednesday. I swear to God, I will pay you back on Wednesday. And like, please don't be mad at me. Please don't be mad at me. Like, you're fine. At least you told me that you didn't have the money. You didn't duck me or hide from me. You literally told me that you didn't have the money, and I understand your story. And I guess I'll see you Wednesday. There's nothing more I can do besides see you Wednesday. So
yeah, I actually had to do that once, and I thought it would be worse if you dragged it out and tried to be all like, "Well, I do so much for this. Why should you be so angry at me for not being it?" It's like, I don't know. It's like people like to beat around the bush a lot.
Yeah, no. Well, the sad part about that, he was actually scared. He was actually scared because of the notion of people from Central America. He was actually scared that I was actually going to murder him over some things. Me personally, being from Central America, because I talked about the story with my uncle, where he literally kicked the car jack because from under a car from a guy that was working on his car under his car, and crushed the guy. He got back in the car, and I said to him, "So how you gonna get your money now, dumbass?" It's like, shit! Damn! You right!
Motherfucker!
You smart! You smart, Tico! You smart!
You smart.
Like, dumbass motherfucker. And it's one of those things where it's like, I know if I kill somebody, I'm not going to get my money back, no matter how much it is. If I murder somebody, how am I going to get my money back? Who's going to pay me back now?
Well, I think that's like being kind of ethnically ambiguous. Is people always want to say that it's their race inside me that motivates me to be the best version of me. And I'm like, wow, you're taking this way on a tangent. I'm not even talking about that, and you're actually you're trying to divert the conversation to be about race when it's really just about individual people making their own decisions.
True story. A lot of people do that shit all the time. My favorite is the black women. You should help out your community, Tico. I am. I really am. Well, we don't see you over here. because I'm not part of your community. I'm Afro-Latino. I help out my community quite often. I'm in the Jamaican community, and I'm in the Latin community. I'm also in the Indian community. Therefore, I actually help out my communities. Now, if you want me to help out your community, that's a whole other story. Be like, we would like your help, Tico. And be like, okay, I'll be happy to join y'all and make your community better. Like, but don't be trying to guilt me into helping out. Don't be trying to guilt me into helping out your community when I'm actually not a part of your community. Let's just keep it 100. Like, if you need my help, you want my help, and you want my guys, you want my help and stuff like that, ask me, and I'll be happy. I'll be willing to help. Don't be trying to make me feel bad about not coming back to the community when in fact I was never part of your community.
What about me? Yeah, that's my favorite one.
That's
Yeah.
an alert. Like you either get a horse and you jump on the train, or you just watch the train go by. Sometimes it's relaxing. That's what I like. That's what I like to watch when I'm on Tico's channel. I just watch the train from a distance. Try to get some cows in the shot. I try to get some of the fences, the corn. I try to get some of that corn in the shot too, because I got mad love for corn. And I just I don't know, just try to relax and get through it. Slowly but surely, I'll get through it. It's not something where I'm trying to prove it right now on this stream. It's one stream. I mean, you guys know, look at this channel. There's a playlist with 21 or 20 videos or something of me trying to work this stuff out. So it's
21 shots. Da, 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 da. Yam.
Yeah.
Get him.
So yeah. So I mean, like, I don't know. And these people haven't even been in half the amount of live streams that I've been in, but then yeah, they want to tell me that I'm not being honest, or I'm lying, or I'm trying to be somebody different than who I am. It's like, no, I really am not. You could go watch the previous videos if you really wanted to, or you could ask me how I feel about something instead of assuming how I feel just because I'm not like, yes, knock a bitch pill, yes, gaga, yes, that's always good. Oh, you're gonna do this too? Good to take a break from that. It's good. Everything that you're doing is great. Just keep doing it. You go, queen. You're the best. Yeah, live your truth.
You're simple as hell.
The fuck?
What? You call him lady. I'll call him lady too.
Who says the truth got ownership? I mean, damn, it just is. That's what tripped me out a little bit.
The truth got ownership. It does. It just sure enough does.
But it's not a your truth, my truth, his truth, her truth, they truth thing. Fuck no. It just is. It's absolute.
Yeah, right? The truth is actually the truth. Like we always say, there's your truth, there's that person's truth, and there's something that's something that really falls in the middle.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, something that they both don't know. I'll admit that. Yeah, that's true.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's where I lose. That's where I'm like, oh, I'm like, only my truth matters.
Only your truth.
See, yeah.
Yeah.
See what it did, man? No.
Starch lives matter.
Starch lives matter. This motherfucker over here.
Starch
lives matter.
What the fuck? And then motherfucking Corn will start talking to you. What about me? I'm starch too.
You're like you're a simple starch.
Wait a minute. Did you see the story? What's up, Billy? Did you see the story on CNN? CNN was forced to admit. CNN was forced to admit Trump was right.
Yo, gentlemen.
What up, Billy?
What up, guys?
Yeah.
Apparently, CNN was forced to admit Trump was right.
Oh yeah. I mean, shit. Eventually, they were.
You can't. They go so long just denying that it's almost like they need like an epiphany or a breakthrough, like they're sitting on somebody's couch.
Yeah, literally.
Oh, the epiphany.
Yeah, we were talking about.
I can tell you right now. Sorry, I was like going to say when you and Amanli and Shinobi were in the live stream with me, I kind of had like an epiphany, like I'm definitely up playing it, but it was kind of eye opening. Obviously, I know about this stuff because I watch all the Jaguar Media's videos. I do a lot of research, but it just sounds different when it's coming out of somebody living, breathing in front of you. And yeah, I think you guys saw a different side of me during that live stream. Like one where I was just like, wow, I never knew that things got this deep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Billy goat, Billy goat.
Simple as hell.
I see Billy, I see a goat, and then I see a squirrel. This is freaking me out, man.
Apparently, Mega Man did a rip of my a rip of a video I uploaded earlier. He says, "Can I borrow this?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm gonna put a soundtrack over." I go, "Okay, that's fine."
Oh, the people that got arrested at the protest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they all look so nasty.
Yeah. Oh, he put my name in there. This video clip is courtesy of Tico, Tren, Red Pill. That's some funny shit.
That's good. That's really funny. I did a video yesterday. And Hidden was like, "Are you trying to impersonate Tico?" And I was like, "Yeah, for the most part." I'm trying to impersonate.
Oh, I gotta go watch that video now so I can cut you out.
Well, it's about walls. It's about city walls and and about language. So when you can't do a lot of stuff with your language, you're for all intents and purposes, you're just a wandering. You're just a wandering like producer, or like not a producer, just you're like a walking plant. You're like you could just and that's the sad part about that is that then you wanna blame people on the outside for just waltzing in when you have people on the inside that do the same stuff that you enable, and you say, oh, he's just working through it. He's just kind of like, he doesn't know. He could be better. He can get better. I know he can. When like literally they are like the barbarian, except they're inside your own camp. And like that's what the video was about. So like you got to be able to hop over your own walls and not just think you can like go in and out just so easily, because then that way anybody else can just come in easily too and terrorize you and break all your stuff. Like you got to have some sort of defense, some sort of like standards, some higher walls or better people to be able to like preach this philosophy and like actually do it right.
True.
Is a conclusion I came to. It's like you can't be like saying like, oh, I don't care about those people out there. I was like, well, okay, well they can come in at any time, so they probably wouldn't like hearing that from you, and they're probably gonna try to correct you, by coming over and whooping on you.
Mega Man's a nut with that video.
Which one?
The video that he just uploaded. He says, I gotta borrow this. I go, okay. This is gonna be crazy. That's exactly what I thought to my man. That's right. Gonna be crazy.
For some reason I was thinking it was Hammerhand, but it was Mega Man. He definitely would upload some stuff like that, like being like Clown World.
Mhm.
Because they all did look like clowns, man. I posted that little annotation because that one dude was looking soy boy.
Yeah.
He had the red and the pink hair and the glasses and the beard and the gut. I was like, oh my goodness. And I just picture he was at the protest being like, working out is for the patriarchy. Exercise is for the patriarchy. Exercise is chauvinistic.
No.
Meanwhile, gay people are working out. Meanwhile, there's more gay people working out at the gym than there's straight people working out at the gym. But it's patriarchal and chauvinistic though. Let me tell you.
Right. No. It's just they don't want to better themselves. They don't want to be better. They don't want to. They just want everything handed to them. And if it's a fighting style, if it would be a fighting style, you kind of could say it would be a crocodile fighting style because, Tico would say they cry crocodile tears, but a crocodile sits in a pond or sits in a body of water and waits for game to approach him, and then lashes out and does a little like this, does like the spin maneuver. And I've noticed this about their tactics is they're good at once they get close to you, they're good at just ripping you to shreds slowly and just like psychologically manipulating you. Like, think about it. If you're a wildebeest and you're getting eaten by a crocodile, you're thinking, how was I so stupid to just come over here and just start drinking right from the pool where this crocodile is just shitting and pissing and laying eggs and like fucking like tail whipping up mud and stuff, and I have no idea. I'm just coming to this pond and just drinking from it like I'm not.
Yeah, crocodiles an analogy or a comparison. I mean, it's minimal effort on the crocodile's part, really. It's sitting there still, not using up many calories. It's waiting for prey to come as close as possible. I mean, fish and other animals might even go inside the crocodile's mouth, and it's not going to close unless it's worthwhile for the crocodile. It will float around like a log, and it's invested all its energy into the shocking motion of its mouth. And as a consequence, I mean, you know, when you close the crocodile's mouth, it can't open it, so you have to open it up. So it's really weak in the other aspect of opening its jaw. So
then that means its diet is unrestricted. Is like it's like indeterminate. Like a crocodile can't be picky. It just has to be. Yeah, it can't be picky. It just has to be. So it just has to be like.
It has to eat tires like it eats the tires off my tractor.
Basically, the crocodile and alligator, its strength is basically in snapping down on things instead of actually opening its mouth. This is typically why you ever see like people who wrestle alligators or people who try to rescue alligators or try to attack them. You'll see them with their hands around their mouth because it's easy to keep their mouth shut, but it's not hard. It's hard to keep their mouth closed. I mean, hard to keep their mouth open for all intents and purposes because once they start trying to snap down, it's pretty much a wrap for you because their jaws are like their muscles for clamping down are so ridiculously strong. It'd be like, think of it like a gum band, a very, very thick gum band that you just slapped off your, like, think of it like I'll say about a 1/4-inch thumb band that you sat there and played with your leg. You had it full extended and you let it go against your leg. That's basically the force. Well, it'd be like a knockdown equivalent to what the force would actually be of his actual muscles in his mouth.
yeah, I mean, I think even like the muscle power required to open its jaw is not even comparable to I think a child can even hold a crocodile's mouth closed or something. I think I heard it.
Apparently, yeah. That's what they were saying.
I mean, and they don't bother chew their food. Like, you know, it's just rip it off and gulp it down.
Yeah.
So it's minimal effort. Well, it's the easy route. They're quite lazy in that sense.
Yeah, they're definitely. I think the most work they do is clamp down and do the alligator death roll.
I just want to say something here because I remember Americus was saying that the red pill was easy mode, and so like I kind of want to differentiate, even though most people might already understand the analogy between like somebody who lives life actually red pilled and somebody who's a crocodile who just literally like looks for the easiest opportunity, like an opportunistic person and a red pill person. Because a red pill person is basically using the fact that people are opportunistic and won't approach them unless it's difficult to their advantage. So like a red pill person will be like, all right, well, if I'm an asshole, I will only attract people who genuinely are interested in me. Whereas like a crocodile person's like, I'm too stubborn to change. Yeah.
I mean, asshole, that's who are pretty much attracted me. People are genuinely interested in me. It's like, oh God, please go away.
And are assholes as well. For the most
well, a lot of them aren't even assholes. They pretend to be assholes. It's like, oh, you suck at this. I'm out to fire you and hire somebody better than you.
Yeah. So like I'm just saying, there's a huge difference between, because America said red pill is easy mode. You know, that's pretty much, I pretty much agree with that. Like it's so much easier to live life when you're free from other people's manipulation. And it's so much better to navigate and coexist with blue pill people if you still need to work. when you have that little idea of leadership and how to actually inspire people other than just capitulating to their standards of what they believe is correct.
True.
And that's just it's different. So I hear a lot of people like that one guy who's posting videos now about MGTOW and how MGTOWs are PUAs. I just think to myself, like, okay, you're not you don't want to choose, you don't want to represent MGTOW well. That's all fine and good. Just don't
What's up, Shinobi
do
one?
it. Huh?
I was saying hi to Shinobi one in the comment section. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yo, what up, Shinobi? But yeah, that's not okay. It's not cool to just because you don't identify with it to just start talking bad about it. Like oh, sorry. Tico's not MGTOW, but you don't hear him being like, oh, we're just a bunch of PUAs that don't want to commit to someone and want to like play games with their heart and shit like that. It's not how it is. That's how people who are crocodiles mindset. That's people who got Doc Croc mindset operate in the world. They don't want to commit to anything because it will require too many resources to actually physically attain.
Yeah. It's kind of like the people I was talking about
yeah.
at the first 40 minutes of this video, basically, that are in the manosphere. We got some people that, like, that did wrong in a relationship and then try to blame their significant other for doing wrong, and they cry crocodile tears, and we feel for them. The sad part about that, if you do a little bit more investigation, you realize very quickly that
they're not good people.
They're not good people. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I don't think somebody should have to do research on somebody to figure out if they're a good person or not, because I frankly advocate that people just ignore one another and just stay out of each other's lives as much as possible, because in overcomplicating your life and involving yourself in other people's lives willy-nilly is how you got yourself into the problem in the first place.
Well, no, because there's a video about a dude actually saying that the cops came to his house. So I did research on it since he made it public. So I'm not going to investigate something unless it's public. Pretty much. So if it's public knowledge, you put it out there, then I'll investigate it and see what the hell you got going on. And then either I got to make a video about it, or I'm just going to pretty much look at you through a certain lens at that point in time. So it's one of those things where it's like you have to be able to, because just because somebody's saying something's off-putting or that somebody's doing something wrong to them, you start realizing that there was cops called to the house, and you realize that the cops weren't called to the house that one time. The cops were called. If you do your actual research on top of that incident, you realize that the cops weren't just called to the house that one time. They were called to the house multiple times.
Well, yeah,
and you were the offending party, basically, the rest of the times. And this time, I guess, she must have got fed up and fought back, so y'all both were the offending party. But your ass had to go because you're the man and you know better for all intents and purposes because society. So it's one of those things where it's like you're mainly the offending party to all the downfalls.
But they're like, how do I know right from wrong if I'm beating it? If I don't beat my girlfriend up? It's like, wait.
That's easy.
You don't need to know.
Because the white knight simps. That's easy. If you beat up your girlfriend, you fear white knight simps. White knights and simps basically coming to a rescue. That's typically how this shit works. That's how gynocentric societies work. There's going to be somebody there that's going to come to a rescue.
Right.
And the sad part about that,
you don't have to be the person that rescues them, especially if you're a bandit yourself. You can't be like thinking that you're going to rescue somebody when you're going to be the one that shakes them down. Yeah.
The sad part about that, though, is like I was laughing about that because I heard a lot of people. There's a Facebook post on Facebook right now that says, if a woman was getting abused, would you step in and help? And I go, no. I don't do domestics. Exactly what I put. One lady put an angry face under my comment, and the other guy goes, "Yeah, I would step in. I would save a woman. This, that, and the other." I go, "You simp." That's literally what I put. Simp. I put under his. I put in simp right under his comment. So like the sad part about that is, I basically went on. Well, how can you not rescue a woman, Tico? You should be willing to rescue a woman. Easy, because 9 times out of 10, if she's in a situation, either A, she chose to be in that situation, or B, she helped cause that situation. Typically how this shit works. So it's one of those things where you have to understand the whole entire situation and understand it from, she's getting beat up. You should help her, Tico. No, I shouldn't. Because I've actually known people who literally hit a woman, then guys try to come to his rescue, and he literally broke everybody's arms and necks and shit like that trying to come to the rescue. Then there was another guy who hit a woman. Everybody tried to come to his rescue, and he shot every single last one of the people running at him. How white knight is that now?
Well, yeah, it's like you
so,
go, like it's do no harm, right? So it's like instead of saving somebody and escaping, you end up killing multiple people, and then you justify it based on I was trying to save her. Well, it's like
well,
no,
no,
you
I'm talking about the person who actually hit the woman. Literally end up shooting at the people running at him.
Like I jumped in and I didn't know.
Yeah, no. So like it's like and the sad part about that, it was an Indian guy. He hit a woman because she smacked him in the face, so he hit her back. And the sad part about that is everybody try to come rushing him. He pulled out a gun and literally gave everybody hot ones coming at him. Now the sad part about that, he could have killed everybody. He merely maimed everybody so they can't run at him. He shot him each in the leg. So he was nice enough not to kill him. So it's one of those things where it's like, now you got to suffer for trying to be a white knight, basically. And that's the thing that I actually like about that's the thing I like about the situation, because them dudes could have died. Because I've heard stories where dudes try to protect a woman and end up dead. Like trying to defend a woman's honor, or they end up dead, or with a brain hemorrhage.
More often for me, it's people who they bring their girlfriend who they're already in an insecure relationship out in public, and then they get into an argument, and then some dude, like oftentimes it's like a Hispanic dude who just comes up and just rocks the guy out of nowhere, and the guy's head hits the concrete, and he suffers brain damage or dies.
Yeah,
it's like you did all that just
for knocking
to die.
him out. Mm-hmm.
You did all that just to die.
Yeah. Yeah, the sad part about that is it's usually the sucky thing. And it's one of those things where it's like, why would you bring a person out in public? Because I know if I'm in a verbal altercation and if somebody jumps in and somebody's getting shot,
right?
I don't really care. You're getting shot or you're getting stabbed. So if I'm talking to a woman and it's not physical, and you try to jump in and try to get between us, I'm shooting somebody right in the leg, or I'm shooting somebody right in the face. It's that simple. Because I don't play those games. Look, I'm trying to keep it one-on-one. If you want to jump in it, you can die. That's typically how I feel about it. You can die or you can be maimed very permanently. I don't care. That's typically how I operate. Like, look, I don't know you. You got to die. And that's literally what I'll do to a human being. If you run up on me, I don't know you. Take these hot ones. And that's pretty much how I feel. And then other people can walk up if they want to, but it's one of those things where, like, they typically don't walk up on me too much for all intents and purposes. They typically tend to keep their distance when it comes to me.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I actually like about me and being me, because people typically tend to keep their distances from me naturally anyway because of who I am. Like, I'm not as big as Sherm, but you would think I'm bigger than Sherm the way people approach me.
Seeker's right though. There's a few channels. Same with Make Absolute Knowledge, this channel, and the Sherm's channel. That I know specifically, Kendo. All those ones are being pop, like you get pop in and out, and you get fake buffering, and it doesn't happen with anything like. Well, the thing is, I feel like it's people, not content creators, but users that are being throttled, so they can't actually listen to what they want to listen to. I don't think it's like your channel, but I think it's like
I think it is the actual YouTube. I think it's actual YouTube and algorithm. They're probably throttling the hell out of the thing for fake buffering and stuff like that. And it's simply how it works.
That's definitely.
It's one of those things where, like, because the sad part about that, a lot of my videos weren't even about bad things. Like, I wasn't really talking badly about women. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's buffering for what? We're talking about human beings doing bad things to people. Like, so it's one of those things where it's like, I don't really quite understand why it's buffering. And the sad part about that is, yeah, I think it might be the actual people that's actually watching it, because sadly enough, I try to pull it up on my screen now, and it's not buffering on my screen. So it must be the people watching it, and it might be their internet service, it might be the 5G thing. Because my actual computer screen, I just pulled it up now, it's not buffering at all.
Well, yeah, the content now for me is definitely more. It used to be how would I say it? Because it stayed the same and it changed in a variety of different ways. It's adapted. It's definitely been more adapted. The way that I see it now is more like it's like the precogs from Minority Report, and you're basically talking about the kinds of things that lead to tragic things happening. So you're kind of like, and people who feel who emote to your content pretty much know that there's something about them that they have to change, and they recognize that even though these are rare instances where tragic things happen, that anyone can basically become a victim to it. So it just kind of cements in them some like constant vigilance where they have to always work on themselves, always improve themselves, and that's not a very palatable idea to a majority of people.
Yeah.
Well, there's an element of what do you call it? It's like a fashion trend where if someone says, "Oh, I'm healed, I'm recovered, I'm self-improving, I self-reflect," that's like kudos. So it's a sort of form of virtue signaling.
Yeah, for sure.
We all love to hear someone who's done the hard work, So it's kind of like, well, have you really, or are you just saying that?
Just saying it.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just like they're just saying it because that's the only way that they know how to actually improve their status is to get other people to say that they have.
Yeah.
And it's like if you ever pulled yourself up by your own bootstraps, you would understand that all that talk is just meaningless.
Yeah. Well, quickly, what will follow afterwards will be like, I'm now wizened up, so I've come a long way. It's been a hard life for me, and then you can see like, oh, here comes the pittiness, like the woe is me. Here comes the vibe. Yeah. So I'm strong as a result of all of that kind of hardship I went through, and it's just like, yeah, we don't really need to tell us, life is hard, life's a bitch. We all fucking have to do it. It's kind of like it kind of stands out after a while sometimes when you notice it with these people. It's like their pain has never been. No one has been through pain like I have, and it's kind of like you realize how many.
Oh yeah, that thing too. Like I'm the master of pain.
It's not just like how many people are on the planet, but like how many people have lived throughout time, like billions and billions and billions, and you're telling me that no one has ever had the same kind of experience you have. I mean, I get it. Like we all kind of have a unique perspective on how life unfolds for us, but to think that your pain is somehow a brand new creation that is preordained just for you, as if this is where it's kind of like
to me it's like they're suffering. They don't feel the actual suffering because they feel deprived of life, and life is suffering. So if they felt suffering, they should feel like they have lived life, but they have this attitude of I've been deprived. My life has been deprived of enjoyment, and it's like that's not the core principle of life, though. It's not to enjoy, because the way most life turns out, it's like you have to cope with something bad that's happened, or something tragic that's happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, be grateful you're even alive, motherfucker.
Yeah, right? I like that.
Like our sperms and eggs that have been floating around in the, on the bed sheets. You came to manifestation, so you're already like from birth. You should be grateful that you're even been born. Like you're already fucking hit the jackpot with that one. So if you're having a happy life and it's all great, then that's the bonus.
Oh, well, you better find something that you're passionate about, or else you'll never be able to live life the way that you have the potential to, because you have the potential to be anything you want to be, and because you have the potential to be anything that you want to be, you should want to be more than what you are now. Yeah, dude. Yeah, exactly. I agree. How are you doing it? Let's share stories. Let's compare stories. Oh, you don't want to know my pain. I've felt so much pain. No one's felt more pain than me. It's like, that's not really living by your philosophy.
Shinobi One, I actually don't know what's going on with him. I do know he's suffering from something, but I don't actually know what's going on with him.
Stigma?
Yeah.
Didn't he just make some streams about the red pill?
He's actually going through some stuff right now, but he's not really being open about what he's going through. So he's not really being.
Well, I heard what he was saying. Sorry to be like a little bit more direct, but he's talking about how people can't be in relationships and stuff now because it makes everybody look bad when those relationships go bad when you're a man in the manosphere. Am I wrong? Or I'm paraphrasing what I heard him say, but that's what he said.
What? Being in a relationship? You mean when it goes right, it makes everybody in the manosphere look bad?
No. Well, just kind of unpacking what it seems like. What I feel like he was saying is like there might be some people in the manosphere that are trying to go around having relationships or like pump and dump is what it's what he pump and dump. He said pump and dump. Sorry, forget what I said before. But I mean, he was right. I mean, yeah, if you try to go pump and dump and it backfires and you're a MGTOW, it pretty much makes you look bad.
Yeah, it does.
It pretty much makes us all look bad.
Yeah, it does make you look bad because it makes you look like it'll get you videos like that one dude that you try to introduce me to. That one video that you're showing me, it basically makes for videos like you can make videos like that for all intents purposes. Yeah,
because like now you got dudes like him making videos about them being
pickup artists and players and shit like that. And in a way, it's kind of true. If you're doing pump and dump, you are kind of sort of a pickup artist at some point because you basically got to pick people up just so you can pump them and dump them. So you are a pickup artist to a certain extent. And this is typically one of the things where I always talk about PR, guys. PR. If you're going to do something like that, don't be out here gloating about it. Keep it to yourself. Because the more you talk about it, the more it paints us. It paints everybody in a broad stroke brush for all intents and purposes to look bad and look negative.
Yeah. And another thing that you could do that this guy does is you start to analyze MGTOW's the discourse of MGTOW and say we never talk about the good women. And that's, first of all, that's simping. That's flat out simping. No. And then another thing is it turns
it's not the fact that we don't talk about good women. We do sometimes in our videos highlight good women, but we don't always sit up here and try to praise them because that's not what this is about. It's about bettering men. The thing is, though, like I always talk about the people who work at my channel, or Mr. Foreman talks about his business partner, who's apparently very capable business partner, who is a woman. So we do praise women that are in our lives that actually do good with our good by us, or do very good work for all intents and purposes with us. So it's not even that. We're talking about is the women who actually do bad and treat people like shit, and then wonder why they're in the messes that they're in now. We don't have to talk about the good women.
I mean, the good
no,
women.
We don't have to talk about them. Like when people like talk about, oh, what about those women that are canning food and how are they going to survive? How are they going to survive without us men saving them? It's like, you don't need to help them. They're totally fine by themselves. They don't need any help.
Yeah, they're canning food.
They definitely don't need your help.
Food. I'm serious. Now you're just trying to be a white knight and cape for them now, and they don't even need your help. And this is typically one of the many problems that a lot of people actually oppose when it comes to men putting their 2 cents in shit. Like, sometimes you just got to sit back and just let them do them and let them fall on their face. Sometimes you got to sit back and just let them do them. Every now and again, if they ask for help, offer to help. If they don't ask for the help, then don't help them. That's simply how I feel about it. Like, if you're not going to ask me for help, well, unless I'm not going to help. There's some women I'm just not going to help in the first damn place. I don't really give a damn who you are. There are women I will just leave there where they stand, basically helpless. Because that's basically how you treated me. Like I was talking about the one Asian woman who clutched her purse and tried to stand far from me on the sidewalk like I was going to steal her purse. Then before the light turned red so we could cross the street, this lady clutched her purse and took off and ran across the street. And this white crackhead ran across the street and snatched her purse and ran past me. And she looked at me like I was supposed to stop the guy. Well, first off, you treated me like I was a criminal, and you just got actually robbed by an actual criminal. It sucks being you. And it's simply how I operate. Like, I'm not going to help you if you're going to treat me like a criminal. I'm not going to be your hero if you want to treat me like I was the one that's going to rob you in the first damn place. Yeah, I literally let the guy run off with her purse before y'all even asked me. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Before y'all grill me, I just kept walking to my destination. Should have treated me like a criminal. But yeah, there's a lot of men in the manosphere who don't refer to themselves as pickup artists, who do have some pickup artist tendencies.
Yeah.
And it's true. And the sad part about that is,
they said a red pill. Well, like I said, it's.
Well, no, it's not even the fact that they say the red pill, because there's a lot of men that'll say like they're MGTOW and they do pump and dump. If you do pump and dump, you're actually a pickup artist to a certain extent. No matter how much you want to talk trash on a pickup artist, you're picking up a woman, you're having sex with a woman, and you're dumping the woman. That's easy math. So at the end of the day, like, if you're going to do it, don't talk about it openly. Keep it quiet or keep it conservative.
Yeah.
Because I find it funny. Because I find it rather funny how like a lot of these people claim that they're conservative, or claim that they're Republicans. Like, a Republican's not going to be out here talking about his sex life. Now, the news reporter might put the Republican out there on blast, but a Republican's not going to be out there talking about his sex life. He's conservative. He's conservative for a reason. That's his business, man. Your own business. So what I'm saying is, if you are into pump and dumping, don't bring it up in your videos. Leave it for the imagination.
Yeah. Gentlemen, what's going on, boys?
Not much, just chilling.
Awesome. Happy birthday, Saki! What's up, Saki? Happy birthday!
Woo!
Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday, Happy birthday to you!
You look like a corn stalk, and you sound like one too. Smell like corn. What's corn smell like?
Yeah, but all I can answer to that, all I can answer to that question, Shinobi One, is he's going through something. He hasn't quite shared it with anybody, but he's definitely going through something. And it's eating at him. He's been like that for the last, that I actually noticed. He's been like that for the last week and a half, I would say.
The last live stream I did with Sigma was in Money ADs, and he was all over the place, man. I got along with him just fine. It was maybe the first or second time I did a live with him, and him and I were on the same page. It's just certain subjects I've noticed, like with this lonely underscore that was in that same live stream, really set him off with certain issues. See, Sigma's situation is very similar to mine, so I relate to him quite a bit. But it's just when you touch on certain aspects of his issues, I mean, he does clearly have a lot of stuff going on, man, from what I've talked to him about. So I relate to his issues quite a bit because him and I are on the same page, roughly the same age, I think. So I understand where he's coming from exactly. So I do got some experience with Sigma in this one, and I can defend a man quite a bit because I know what he's feeling. It's that annoying, which you guys know my story. I don't have to repeat my story to you guys. You know what it is already. I don't want to preach to the choir, but I relate to that story, man. It's hard for some guys to deal with that. You know, bless you guys. You know, I come around, you know, I feel down and bummed out, and here you guys are, and now I'm in a better mood again. You know what I mean? And that's what the manosphere is for. You know, maybe in some way we can get him to come out of the shadows and chit chat for a while. You know, get him out of this funk. Have his six. You know what I mean? Yeah, because I was actually talking to him about he was saying that that cougars manipulate 18-year-old boys. I go, that's not how that works. Yeah. Cougars don't manipulate 18-year-old boys. And he got mad at me and he kicked me out of the stream, which was actually pretty funny. And I was like, okay, whatever. It's like, he's got quite a few issues. I mean, like I said, I did that live stream with him at Money AD, and him and I were talking, you know, like I talk to you guys, unless we're breaking balls or something like that. He's actually a fairly good fellow from what I understand, but there's certain subjects which I'm not going to repeat here because I don't want it to sound like I'm talking smack about the guy, but clearly when this lonely underscore troll started mentioning certain things, of course you're talking about this lonely underscore being a 20-something trouser stain, so I'm just going to say it for the record here, doesn't understand that certain men have gone through certain issues, and it's more than just pumping and dumping. When you've been down that road like I have, and many of you guys have, you know, it's gonna fuck you up, man. I mean, especially when kids are involved, and that's something that a lot of these young dicks out there don't understand. A lot of us are dads, man. So when you have
Mm-hmm.
kids in the mix, it becomes even harder.
Mm-hmm.
So when I spoke to him, I feel sorry for him because I know what it feels like, man. I understand what that anger and that rage feels like, man. Like you want to go out there and just blow up. But, you know, where does it get you? I mean, sometimes I'm guilty of pouring my emotions on my channel too, but I'd rather be honest because, like I said, there's a great bunch of guys like yourselves that are out there. When the time comes, here comes a live stream, let's break balls and laugh, and then you forget about everything for a while, man. And that's something I think we should do for him, to be honest with you, and have his 6 and see what's going on. But it's up to him what he wants to do.
I have no hard feelings from him. It's kind of sort of
You gotta
disappointing.
be able to ignore somebody when they're going through hard stuff because that's the best way to help themselves.
Yeah. Because a lot of times, even if you try to help somebody, if they're not willing to help themselves, you're just basically digging yourself in a ditch with them. So now you're buried in a ditch alongside of them, and you can't get yourself out of the ditch. Now you're stuck in a ditch. Now you're pissed off just with that person, and now that y'all got to look at each other in that ditch, now you're pissed off at each other, and now you want to kill each other. Now you done set yourself up for failure. So I typically look at it like tough love. Like I said, I approach my channel like I'm a father. I treat everybody on my channel and that watches my channel as a disapproving father, or as an approving father or a disapproving father. So everybody gets treated the same way across the board, no matter who you are. If you're messing up, I will let you know you're messing up. If you're doing good, I may not always let you know you're doing good, unless you ask me on a private, unless you ask me on the side or do a phone call or in private chats. I will tell you you're doing good if you ask me. However, I will let you know when you're doing wrong more so than I will if you're doing right or doing good. And this is typically my style of parenting because I never want my children to get their heads so big where my daddy said I'm doing good. So then I have to pop their head and, bring them back down to reality at that point. Because I never want my children to have big ass heads, so therefore I typically tell them when they're doing wrong. But I will reward them and not say anything when they do good. So it's one of those things where I try to keep, like, I don't need people, talk about, well, Tico said I was better on the live stream than you was. Like, yeah, no, keep it to yourself.
Yeah, there are times even in my personal life. I mean, I'm very open about my situation here on YouTube. That's different because, of course you guys know, you know my story. Like, it's like, I don't want another guy to go through what I'm going through, but in my personal life off camera, if I'm not feeling a certain way, I'm self-aware enough that, man, if I'm feeling that bad and I'm feeling so down and I need some time to myself, I'm not going to drag my friends down with the sinking ship. I rather, kind of like take my day or two, be honest with my boys. If they're my boys, they'll understand, which most of my friends in my personal life, like, they all know me anyway. So they know if I'm not feeling good. Let me have my moment of grief. When I'm feeling better, we'll shoot the shit. I'll be the first guy to buy a case of 24 beers. You know what I mean? But, sometimes you kind of need like that. I think all guys universally, at least in my opinion, need that little moment to themselves where you just kind of like need to reboot, focus, and kind of ground yourself again, That's kind of like how I feel about it.
Yeah, the sad part about that is, like, when I don't feel like doing videos or I don't feel like I'm in a good mood, I typically just upload videos that I already have on my channel that's up for uploading. Just in case I get a strike and my channel goes down, I'll just put up a video that I got on my channel that's ready to go, basically, and just do it that way. Because typically it's like, I just don't feel like doing a video today. I'm not in the mood to do a video today. Or if I really want to get extravagant or get real creative, I'll typically use a, like if I'm doing like an actual stream where I'm actually showing my face, I'll typically do like a deep fake and go from there. So I'll use a deep fake model of me, or I'll take a video and I'll edit the clippings and I'll edit it to the point where, like, I'm literally like, I'm literally moving my mouth to the same words that I'm actually saying in a video. Or I'll basically just do a deep fake of myself and just go from there. So it's one of those things where it's one of those things where, like, if I'm in a bad mood, I'm not going to do a live stream or do something where I'm just in a bad mood for no fucking reason. Unless something needs to be addressed, then that'd be the only way I'll do something if I'm angry at somebody, if it needs to be addressed. Other than that, like, I tend to, like, just not live stream that day, or I'll typically, like, put up a bunch of videos, or I'll put up, like, other stuff basically on my channel to let you know that I'm still uploading, I'm fine. More content to come later, basically, type thing.
And it feels forced after a while too, because you know, I love pumping shit out on YouTube, man. Sometimes there's just stuff that I don't want to put out there that.
Oh, by
at
the way,
least
that was a
now
good
I have.
video, by the way. I like that video.
Oh, you did? You saw it? Okay. Oh, you did see it. Yeah, I told you. Hey, listen, I'm in that position right now, man. If I go out there and I see you guys making some good content, I'm gonna filter it through my channel. Hopefully, give you guys a fucking boost, man. One of the best things about having that community page, man, is that you can just spread the word even more. So, like, if I see, like, with that Tico, dude, I had to have that video. I had to take it. My brain, dude, it was like cheese to the mouse, the fucking mouse to the cat, and the dog to the cat. I'm like, yum, 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 must have some. You know what I mean? So I'm like, this is right up my alley, man. So if I ever see you guys making some shit, you better believe I'm gonna come knocking on your door. Excuse me, Mr. YouTuber person, could I have that video clip? I want to make fun of people. Dude, but oh my god, dude, when I've made plenty of videos about this already, but it's just there was something about it, like you're flicking through the photos. I'm like, yeah, I have to have that. Oh my god, what dumpster fires,
one
man.
of those.
Oh my god, what dumpster fires. God forgive me for making fun of people. But you know, when I retooled that video, man, it was funny because it's like, you know, I get these fucking stupid emails and, you know, threats and bullshit. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna use this to my advantage and just taunt them even more and piss them off even more. Come get some, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but excellent video, man. Excellent video. I had to put my own little flair on that goddamn thing. Oh, it was hilarious, man. And the thing is, it's like I'm trying to edit it, and I start cracking up laughing and fucked it all up. So I had to re-edit everything again and redo the text again because it started to get a little too insulting even for me. So I'm like, oh, great, I got to back off. Because look out, Mrs. Susan is going to get all sensitive and offended because the white Trump man is making fun of people.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, like now, you know, I've kind of like had to tone down some of the language and stuff like that in the videos. But I'm like, I must have. Please give me. Let me have it. So
let me have it.
Yes, MAGA Army approved.
I know that's right.
So there was something else you guys were talking about before with PUAs and black pills and red pills and all that stuff. I'm not trying to sound like a MGTOW dictionary here. I don't want to sound like that. But it sounds, you know.
How tall are you, bro? He said, no. Mega Man, you're a firefighter? It's over for you, bro. It's over for you, bro. Come on, bro.
We'll religiously rip into your ass. That's what we'll do.
Because I'm Captain MGTOW.
Come into the square circle with me, brother. These 34-inch pythons are going to stomp you down. What you going to do when the Hulkster comes for you?
They try to tell me that the German football team was good. I said, no. This is science. This is science.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
That has nothing to do with science, man.
That's got absolutely nothing to do with it, dude.
He's like Chad.
Oh my God.
Chad and Tyrone are just the Chad and Tyrone are scientifically geared to get all the bitches. And it's like, no, Pookie and Ray Ray are socially engineered to get all the bitches. And Chad and Tyrone are biologically engineered to attract some bitches
the sad part about the thing that they sweep under the rug about Chad and Tyrone is a lot of Chads and Tyrones been under the knife.
Yes.
They got
a large majority of Chads and Tyrones go under the knife.
Yeah.
There's a lot of artificial stuff going on there with surgeries and Botox and pec implants. None of those guys, even guys these days, are turning into femme robots. Yeah. Most of them are about 50% plastic. Look at Cher. She could barely move her mouth anymore. She's filled up with so much Botox.
Hell, like Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, all those people, they went under the knife. Matter of fact, we were talking about that in MGTOW Absolute Knowledge's channel about the goidials and stuff like that, the goidial implants and stuff like that. And I told him, you literally have to upkeep those things. That's not something that's a one-off thing. You got to upkeep them. Yeah. Depending on what they use for the goidials, it literally is a lot of upkeep for those, and it costs some money. So if they go broke, either going to have to get them removed, or they're gonna have to find a way to upkeep the goyles in their mouths and or their jaws for all intents and purposes. For the fact that it's one of those things where it's like you basically have to upkeep it for the fact that it doesn't stay there all the time because it's a foreign body in your body. So it's one of those things where like the doctor, depending on who the surgeon is, if they're one of them surgeons that typically do the if they're overbearing surgeons where they make you come in every so often to get it checked out, you may have to go in twice a year, twice a month, or twice a year, or 3 times a year to get it checked out. Where you got the other ones will make you come in like once a year or once every so often, every so many years, basically, to actually keep.
Right. I said it like they constantly have to cycle out who they are to be like the fresh specimen.
Yeah.
And it's like there's no uniqueness, there's no authenticity there to who you are.
Yeah. But you got to realize too.
The moment Pookie takes your woman, that's when your whole world shatters.
Yeah.
But you got to realize too, at movie stars and celebrities and music artists, a lot of them have careers to upkeep. So if they start getting old and they're used to playing youthful roles, I mean, Jesus Christ, look at Steven Seagal, for God's sakes. That dude, like, it looks like he got dragged behind a bus with his ankle tied to the fucking back bumper. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you don't keep up that fresh appearance in Hollywood, you have no job. Thus, say goodbye to your career.
Well, no, not really, because you got people like Eminem, you got people like what's his name? What's his name? The fuck is his name? The ugly guy. The ugly fucking rapper with the big ass lips.
Oh.
Me.
Me.
Jay-Z. Yeah, you got them two that actually keep up their appearance without getting shit done to themselves, and they're perfectly fine, and their careers are still going strong. You also got like the black actresses. You also got the black actresses who hasn't changed anything on their body, and they're perfectly fine too, and they look good into their 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Jay-Z he just changed his haircut. I noticed.
Well, that's just a haircut. You can change. Everybody changes their haircut. Shit, mine changes every now and again, depending on my barber.
Oh, what up, Mitch? Knowledge?
Yeah, so it's one of those things. Normally Jay-Z gets the Caesar haircut. But he changed it to a different haircut for all intents and purposes, and that's like haircut is a haircut is a haircut. That's really nothing. But like you typically like a good example of a woman that didn't get anything done in her whole entire career, and I think she's still alive till this day. Cicely Tyson.
I don't even know who that is, but I mean,
yeah, Cicely Tyson didn't get any work done. She basically remained natural from the time she got into the acting business till now. Is she still alive?
Crawford.
Cindy Crawford, yeah.
Cindy Crawford's another example of that.
No, I would say Jane Seymour.
Jane Seymour? I heard that Jane Seymour got actually had some work done recently.
Anyone hear about this
recently?
Is a training?
Definitely. I mean, yeah.
But
Raquel Welch, you know what I'm saying? Or
Raquel Welch, yeah, I'll give her that.
Or Lena Horne is another one.
Oh yeah, I'll give her that too. The chick that played Lady Eloise at Boomerang.
Oh, that's
Rita
a good point.
Moreno.
Eartha
I forgot what her name is.
Eartha Kitt,
Eartha
yeah.
Kitt. That's Eartha Kitt.
Eartha Kitt was actually natural, shockingly.
And as I was saying earlier, Rita Moreno. Also.
Yeah.
And I didn't think so at first, but yeah.
But the sad part about that, none of these people
beauty, I guess.
none of these people actually got work done, and they still kept their careers still booming.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like everybody gets so wrapped up in their image that they don't realize people like people who are more authentic.
Yes,
and the more
I
authentic
agree.
these people were, the more we talk about these people, and we don't even talk about half these other heifers. Like,
when's the last time?
You're
You're telling me authenticity works, bro? It's over for you, bro. It's over.
You're retarded for that. Knock it off. But yeah, but yeah. Typically,
I got
if you ever
Tico's
notice
side on this one. I
talk about
appreciate authenticity, man.
Like typically, when we talk about actresses, we talk about women who haven't had any work done. We tend to remember all the women who haven't had any work done. Like, we'll remember Sidney Poitier over, like, an Osmond, or I don't even know, whatever the hell it is.
Osmond.
Yeah, we'll remember Sidney Poitier over him, or we'll remember Denzel Washington over, like, Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise.
And then we got something weird though. Well, with the family context on the Jacksons, everyone has had theirs done except for the oldest sister, Reedy.
Yeah. Well, that's because
Yeah.
Reedy really wasn't in the spotlight like that, though.
Wasn't. I only did one album, and that was it.
They're a very odd exception to Jacksons. You have to realize, especially with Michael. Now, regardless of how most people might feel about him, you got to realize their lives are far beyond normal. When you're that little and you're forced into the spotlight and you don't have a childhood, there's a little bit more going on there than just
automatic, systematic.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing normal about that family at all, especially with Mike. You know, I'm not taking sides here or anything. I'm not defending certain behaviors. I'm just saying, in essence, that's not a normal way to grow up. When you don't literally, you don't have a childhood. He literally became a child in his adulthood. Anybody from a psychological standpoint who understands that type of behavior was literally trying to reclaim his childhood. He didn't even realize like his behavior was dangerous.
Yeah,
that's what's crazy about it.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that quite often because I dealt with a lot of people that were like that in their adulthood, basically. And it's like you deal with a lot of women that were traumatized as children, and they still sound like they were when they were freaking 8 years old, only with a bit of a different vocal cord, basically. But they sound exactly how they do when they were 8 years old, and they get trapped in that trauma. And typically, a lot of men. This is typically the thing about another thing I notice about men when they get trapped in that trauma is they typically grow up, but they never really grow up. So it's like they go up to grown men, but they always want to have fun, basically. A good example of that is kids who had to raise their own siblings because their mom was I'll be back, mom, I'll be right back, mom type thing, where she always goes out every night. You literally had to raise your own siblings basically by yourself.
Yeah.
So typically, a lot of men who suffer from stuff like that tend to be those type of men. The sad part about that, they're grown up physically and they can take care of everybody in themselves quite well, but they're trying to regain their childhood that they didn't have as a child, basically, due to the fact that they had to raise their siblings, who was all of probably 2 years younger than them.
I have to acknowledge that what you just said, because you hit a personal nerve with me. You know, a lot of you guys don't know this, and I may have mentioned it even on my channel, as a matter of fact. I'm an example of a man that was raised, you know, with a sibling or two siblings, a brother and a sister, mother and father, in a one-bedroom apartment in New York City, in a 600 square foot space. So there's no privacy. There was no, I mean, even when I had my first girlfriend, my father, both of my parents, I guess, I don't want to say that they were ashamed or embarrassed. I really can't explain their behavior, but they really forbade us from having people in my apartment, or their apartment, I should say, past tense. So my relationships were always screwed up. I was always alienated because, you know, I always had to compete with my brother and my sister. I mean, it was really rough, man. So once I finally got up and got on my own, that's when I started, you know, becoming, I don't want to say selfish, but that's when I started trying to reclaim, like what you said, Tico, trying to reclaim stuff. I mean, I went back, dude, and I spent thousands. If this is the one thing that the mother of my kids does have on me, that was probably a bad thing, was the fact that I started collecting old school 80s toys and things like that. Now, when we had our kids, they were benefiting from all of that. But then, you know, admittedly so, I'm one of those guys that kind of said, hey, I'm going to reclaim parts of my life that were missing. Little did I know that that part of our relationship would be alienated because she felt like I was just throwing my money away. And in a lot of ways, I'll take responsibility for that one. I will take a hit and say, fine. I spent too much.
Well, no, because the sad part about that, even still, though, you still have to be able to do for yourself and have fun and actually invest in yourself so you can actually have fun. Because at the end of the day, a relationship is both ways. If she's having fun and you're not having any fun, there's a problem with that relationship. If you're having, the minute you can actually have fun, she's probably going to try to fuck up your fun. This is typically where, like, you hear women say, well, no, you can't have that motorcycle.
If you got pleasure out of it, that'd be a different story. Like, if you're like, I promise I won't buy a toy, and then you buy a toy.
Well, no, it's not even that. No, it's not even that. It's more or less what I'm talking about is, if a good example of that is what I'm saying is, like, she'll say, well, you can't have that motorcycle. The motorcycle probably set you back like $2,000, $3,000 maximum. Then she goes out and buys a purse and some clothes for more than what that motorcycle was. You're sitting there looking at her like, are you even going to wear this shit? And it's one of those things where, like, you have to understand, like, she's fulfilling herself in a relationship, but you're not getting to fulfill yourself in a relationship. So it's one of those things where, like, you're basically dating somebody who is selfish themselves, who won't let you have any fun in your life, they're basically sucking all the fun out of you. So basically, right then and there, that's a red flag within itself. If you can't do anything fun for yourself, and she always has to rain on your parade, and or try to fuck up your funness for all the fun you're having. So it's one of those things.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, Tico, like what you were saying, man. See, once my kids were born, it became something that was selfish for me as my own personal escapism. Because you have to realize, you know, you're talking to a career construction worker that went to school, and you guys know my story. I'm not going to get into that. But once my daughter was born, it went from, okay, I'm going to try to forget about my problems by hiding behind a childhood I didn't have, to, oh my God, now I have a little me out there. And she loved my stuff. Mind you, she broke a ton of stuff, but that's what kids do. You know what I mean? But that's what they do. As a father, I understand that kids are going to play. They're going to break stuff. That's what they do. It's a learning experience. And she would look at me with that puppy dog face and cry, and I'd grab her, give her a big daddy hug, and take her out and go get more stuff. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of dad I was. But then, of course, the mother being how she was, being that I was retired now, I was home with my kid. Even with my son, when my son was born, I was home with my kids, playing with my kids. And then she would come home from work and then start fucking trashing me for no reason at all. It's not like if I did have a beer, I do it outside the home. Yeah. If I hung out with somebody, I hang out with the neighbors. Like, everything changed. I had a band, as a matter of fact, traveling all over the 5 boroughs of New York City, and we were doing good. I had to quit because of her. Because of all the accusations.
They isolate you from all your friends. And
and that's the thing, man. It became, and that's what destroyed. What really ultimately destroyed us is the alienation, which Tico, you'll recognize this term: parental alienation and alienation of affection. That's what destroyed us. That's what destroyed us. Her family got between us way too much, and now, I mean, basically, you guys know the rest. I don't have to tell you anything.
Yeah.
So,
and the sad part about that is, like, matter of fact, there's like one other person that actually suffers from that in this live stream right now, because their parent actually got taken away from them because their family, their mom's side of the family, got in between them, their actual dad and their mom, for all intents and purposes. Yeah. So it's one of those things.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, because the alienation part is like something you can't blame either person for. It's just the society that we live in. It basically pulls people apart.
Well, no, it's not even that though.
No,
because you can actually blame the person for alienation when they actually listen to, like, a family member and say, well, don't let him see the children and make sure he gets out the house and this, that, and the other. That's parental alienation. Now you're actually kicking one parent out of the house because you're listening to the advice of your family members, basically. So it's one of those things where it's like, so basically, people are getting involved.
Yeah, the League of People, they enable each other, so it's like instead of face a consequence in your relationship, they get rescued by all the people that agree to the narrative that would would make your family look good. So it's like,
the sad part about that is, like, instead of dealing with the stuff in your situation in your relationship, you basically turn around. Basically, you turn around as a woman, you go outside your relationship to look for help for something that you don't even need help for in the first damn place. Or your family enforces something on you. Your family enforces something on you, where, like, now you got to listen to family because you're a woman and you love your family, so you're going to listen to your family. You're going to be. It's basically what women do with their best friends. They take advice from a woman who's not even in a relationship, and they fuck up their own relationship. The same thing goes for women's family members. If they don't like somebody enough, they'll listen to somebody and their family, and now the relationship blows up and goes sideways, and now you got a new person in the household. Like, really? Now your kids got a new stepdad.
I could acknowledge, Baron. I could acknowledge your point. I'm on the fence with it. I'll acknowledge your point. What you were saying.
Because the thing that Baron was saying was the fact that he actually was bringing up a different topic for this
exactly. That's what I was getting at.
That's something totally different. There's a difference. There's difference between parental alienation and what he was trying to bring up. That's something totally different. That's a whole nother psychological bag by itself. So
that's what I was going to get at, because one thing is one subject and one thing is another subject. When it comes to parental alienation in and of itself, what happened is that after I lost my career, just for context, I mean, I lost everything, man. You're talking to a career man, not a guy with a job, a man with a career. Pension, retirement, annuity benefits, vacation, holiday. I lost it all. The mistake I made was to move in with her family under the same roof. Now you have what's called too many too many roosters in a hen house. You have 3 men, myself, her father, and her brother, and we constantly clashed. I had no room to even raise my own children with my own values and my own way. Now you have to remember this, all right? Because there's going to be people out there watching this that'll say, "So how come you didn't move out?" You don't understand. I had to fight for. It took years for me to get my Social Security benefits, and it took even longer for me to get the Victims Compensation Fund money from 9/11. That also goes. It took about maybe after I retired about 5 or 6 years and more to get to where I am at today. So it wasn't like, oh yeah, let me just go pick up and move. It didn't work like that. I didn't have that kind of money then. But now in hindsight, unfortunately, if I did get that money at that time, I probably would have picked our asses up and got the hell out of there. But then again, thinking about it also, she refused to leave her parents. To this day, she refuses to leave her parents. From my friends that I have in New York.
It's also a lack of control, self-control, when it comes to prying into the other person. Like, leave some parts of your relationship a mystery so that it can last. Because if you know everything, then it's ridiculous. There's no point staying in it.
And this is a 43-year-old woman.
No. You actually got that wrong and backwards too. Again, too, Yam. That's like.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Because
you're going to say what I'm going to say, Tico. I'll let you take this one. I know exactly what you're going to say already. So.
The problem with that. The problem with that is. It's not the fact that you don't learn everything about a person. The fact of the matter is everybody's so one-dimensional in the United States that you pretty much learn about them in a matter of seconds. Even though they try to pull, you don't know me.
Oh, no, yeah,
the minute
I'm not
somebody
deep.
says some shit like that to me, I automatically know who the fuck you are. The minute somebody pulls some shit like that with me, you don't know me.
Yeah.
I'm a different person. I'm my own man or I'm my own woman. I automatically know who you are the minute you open your mouth and say some stupid shit like that to me. Because I pretty much know who you are. I've dealt with you many times on my couch. I've dealt with you many times in public. I've dealt with you many times in high school. I know who the hell you are. There's nothing you can do that can actually change my perception of you. And if I'm spot on, I know I'm spot on. It's basically like the one incident, the one last stream where I was talking about Jordans and shit like that and skinny boy jeans in my last stream. And, one person was throwing a mini fit about, you don't know me, Tico. You don't know. Yes, I do. I know all about you. I know you were raised by a single mother. Based on how you were acting in my live stream, I know you were raised by a single mother. I know your ass owned a pair of Jordans, and I know your ass wore skinny boy jeans.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about
Tico,
people. We don't go after.
You're only 3% right because I didn't own any Jordans. I go, did you own a pair of Jordans? He goes, well, I didn't buy them myself. They bought them for you. You owned a pair of Jordans. End of fucking story. Well, you don't know me. You're only 3% right. You were raised by a single mother. Am I right? Right.
It's the attitude.
You were right. You had some skinny boy jeans, right? Right.
Yeah, I mean, they go for the lowest hanging fruit.
You owned a pair of Jordans in your lifetime. Didn't you? Yes or no? Yes. I know all about you. I'm 100% right about you.
When people label them as being one-dimensional, it's like, but you went for the easiest way of being accepted, which is to get into a relationship with a freaking hookup that you had.
Yeah, and the sad part about a lot of these people,
you put no effort into it. So then why do you expect
a lot of times, like everybody wants. The sad part about that, a lot of these times, like people always talk about they want somebody that's mysterious or this and the other, but the culture, the whole entire gynocentric culture, done eroded what a mysterious man is. Like back in the day, back in the 50s, there were probably some mysterious men. Nowadays, everybody's pretty much one-dimensional, two-dimensional. So you really don't have anything to you besides the fact that, like, you're a man and you were in a relationship and this, that, and the other. You're pretty much like instead of it being a book, you're pretty much a pamphlet. You're pretty much a pamphlet that you pull apart, put back together, and call it a day, and that's all you really are. A lot of men in this day and age are nothing more than pamphlets. They're no longer books. So you don't even have to read the preface to pretty much know who the man is. You pretty much just pick up the cover, look at it, and go, oh, title, end of story, put it back down. So it's one of those things where like everybody's so one-dimensional that they don't really have their own personality. I mean, granted, a lot of people have their own personality, but like a good example of this is the best way I can describe this is, let's just put it this way: every woman you've ever dated or ever been with in your life, every woman that you've ever been dated in your life, they've had somebody who acts exactly like you in their life. Like I'm willing to bet you any money, anybody on this panel who's dated a woman, you've even reminded her of her brother, her granddad, her father, or a cousin. Am I right or wrong? Or an uncle.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Go ahead, everybody. Go ahead.
Yeah, you
Turn
got
into
it.
shit.
Ding,
Yeah,
ding,
Go
ding,
ahead,
ding,
turn
ding.
into that shit. Everybody. I'm willing to bet any money that you've reminded your
Yeah,
girlfriend of
because
somebody in her
we're
family.
just even though we think we're deep, we're just as fake as everybody else in her stable, and she doesn't want to put any effort to find anybody who's unique, so she goes with the person who acts just like the people that she's familiar with.
Yeah. So, and this is typically why
I
women get
did
into
it.
relationships.
I do
This is
that too.
typically why
Yeah,
women get
I've
into.
done it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is typically why women get into a relationship with something that's familiar. Like they can't do it. This is the reason. Like we always talk about them not wanting to date a good guy. It's not the fact that they don't want to date a good guy. They don't know anything about the good guy that's familiar. So the good guy ends up being creepy and or who the hell's drinking?
Yeah, what the hell is that?
Somebody's drinking out of a freaking bottle or a can right now. But
Yeah.
typically how
That's
it
got to
works
be
is the
psyche.
reason why she actually
Yeah.
doesn't get into a relationship with the nice guy is because the nice guy's not familiar. He seems creepy and she knows nothing about him. So it's the fear of the unknown when it comes to a nice guy. I mean, don't get me wrong. There
Now,
are some nice guys. There are some nice guys that don't tickle their fancy, but there are some nice guys that cross them, but because they don't know anything about them or they don't know how to read them properly, they get scared by them and they're unknown, so they don't want to touch anything unknown. That's simply
now,
how it works. Huh?
Tico, you would recognize this immediately. I learned this way back in high school, for example. This has a lot to do with psychology. So, say like when you go to school, you play the role of the student. When you go to work, you're a coworker or you're a boss or a leader
Yeah.
of some type. When you're home, let's just say you're a father. When you're every day, you play different roles throughout the day. You go to the store, you're a customer. But when it comes to a relationship, you are whatever the woman wants you to be, from her point of view.
And the sad part about that is, like, I always say, don't be what she wants you to be who you want to be.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
And it's stuff like that. Because, like, typically, I would say to that, what Mega Man said, I've said this multiple times in many different streams. When I'm at school, I'm pretty much Sheldon Cooper. If y'all know who knows Sheldon Cooper is, watch The Big Bang Theory.
Of course.
Yeah.
She wants
So when I actually when in school, I'm literally Sheldon Cooper. When I'm at work, I'm basically Leslie Chow. That's the Chinese guy from Hangover, the Hangover series.
Yes.
What's up, bitches? Yeah, I'm usually him at work. That's simply my temperament at work. And when I'm at home, I'm Dominic Toretto. So that's the dude from Fast and Furious. Vin Diesel played in Fast and Furious. So that's typically my temperaments in each of those different places. So I'm a nerd kid in school. I'm a party type guy at work, and I'm a serious, brooding person behind the scenes at home. It's simply how it works. So it's one of those things where it's like, this is my character, this is who I am. So if you were to tell the cartel princess that I met Tico and he was the funniest motherfucker in the world, she would look at you like you're crazy because, like, I don't know Tico to be funny. Like, typically my kids will look at you like you're crazy too. Like, our daddy's not funny at all. Like, and that's simply what it is. Like, because I'm not funny with them. I'm very serious, and I'm a very brooding, serious person for all intents and purposes.
Right.
So it's one of those things where it's like it's very hard to read me.
I feel like
And
you
typically
abuse
with a lot
people
of
when you try to get them to swallow or oh damn, they just tried to. I feel like you abuse people when you get them to try to accept you 100% for just and you never try to change in order to actually fit the situation. Like that to me is abuse. When you just like
well, no, it's
when
not.
you
It's not. I don't try to get people. I don't force people to accept me. It's like either you do or you don't. I really don't care either way. I'm still going to be me no matter what. And that's simply my attitude towards everything. Like, I'm not changing for anybody. If I'm an
No, I'm
asshole when
talking
you met me,
about
I'm the asshole when we all die.
no, I'm talking about being playful with your kids when you're not playful when you're not supposed to be. And then trying to be serious with them when the serious situation is
Well,
brought
no,
up.
I'm never playful with my children. I'm always serious with my children.
Right.
So I never really play with them unless we're playing video games together. That's like the only time you'll see me play with my children.
Well, I see
Or
a lot
like
of times
I'm doing a ball or
what
something like
happened with
that with
my
my children.
family,
Generally,
they
I'm very
got like
serious.
my dad got dumped basically for a person who is just able to be a perfect chameleon. So instead of a person who just acts genuinely however they act and be themselves, he got replaced because he couldn't be the perfect face in every situation for the mother of his children. And so the mother of his children went crying to daddy government or crying, well, not in my case, but like prying to whoever had the ability to like pry and gain more information, so that he could be canceled, inevitably canceled.
Yeah, but
and that's the kind of stuff that we should avoid.
Yeah, that's the thing you should avoid, but definitely. But like at the same time, if you know anything about me, my family is very interconnected to the point where if something happens to somebody anywhere around the world, there's going to be somebody there that can defend them, help them, and or punch a bitch in the eye if you're a guy, if you're a male member of the family. It's simply like where I say when I sit there, if I'm ever in a bad situation, I'll simply sit there and I'll text my grandmother, and next thing you know, about not even like 2 minutes later, a chick's coming out and punching a chick in the face. Like, oh, sucks being you. And I'll go back to text and say, thank you, mama, and I'll go on about my merry way. So it's one of those things where like if I ever was in an abusive relationship, I still have family members that can get me out of that situation, and that will show up and punch a bitch in the face, basically. Because simply, this is how my family works. The women are very overprotective of the men in the family. It don't matter what the man does wrong, because there's not very many of us in our family. They're going to be overprotective of the men in the family. So you can't do anything to our men, but we can. So we're going to kill you. Then we're going to deal with what the man did after the fact. It's simply how it works. So this is simply how my family is, and this is typically the parameters that my family lives by. So it's one of those things where it's like, even if we were in a relationship and you try to take me to daddy government, it wouldn't pan out too well for you.
See, one of the things that I'm probably going to upload in my next video, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it tonight because I'm supposed to go out to South Charlotte tonight, is something you guys kind of touched on here a little bit, which I'm an example of. To a lot of you guys that may not have been raised with your dads or grew up in a split family, or even somebody like you were talking to, Tico, like you said that, you ran into some cat that was, oh, my shoes, my sneakers, this, that, and everything else. This is why I've made sure to make a scrapbook, to literally put everything into a book, that if one day my kids come around and say, Daddy, why did you leave us? I'm going to be like, oh, no, I didn't. Your mother's responsible. Here's the proof. And that's why I have that playlist on my channel with the family court, that I will not take responsibility for her fucking behavior.
Yeah,
there's
definitely.
no how am I going to take responsibility?
Never take responsibility for their behavior, because they want independence. Make them take responsibility for their behavior.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, Shinobi-1, yes, there's somebody there just in case shit happens. If one of my family members are there, there's always somebody somewhere around the world. That's how far my family's reach is. I could be in Antarctica. If a seal bitch slaps me, somebody's going to shoot that seal. It's pretty much what it is. Or if a penguin trips me, just know somebody's going to trip that penguin.
I got the manosphere.
Mi familia es mi sangre, man. I know Latin culture, man. People are tough.
The globe.
For real.
Anytime somebody tries to gaslight me or pull me into a narcissistic web, I just call one of my friends up and I'm like, here, watch this video. And I basically have them get taken out.
Yeah, and the sad part about that, there's always somebody somewhere in the world, no matter where I go in the world, if I get into a situation, I can get out of that situation. This is how connected my family is. They're not the cartel, but they're so connected, it's ridiculous. Hell, they even got connections in China. They got connections throughout the Arab world, the Asian world, the European continent, all of the European continent. They got connections throughout North and South America. Hell, I think if my grandma does some echo sounds, she could probably get a dolphin to come to my defense. Let me stop picking on my grandma.
So abuelo, man, she's gonna beat your bottom. You keep talking about
her, right? Don't you growl at me, Psyche Soap.
No, I wasn't growling at you. I was laughing.
But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I never fear for my life anywhere I go, for the fact that I know my family has this reach. Their reach is way better and way further than the cartel would ever be. So it's one of those things where it's like, when you actually think to yourself, the cartel princess is dating Tico, probably because she needs her family needs the reach internationally. You ever think of that?
Ketchup is $2.99. Bottle of ketchup is
be back in just a moment.
Psyche said, "I'll be back." He literally left the stream. I thought he was just going to put his thing on mute and leave.
He probably had to take a Psyche dump.
A Psyche dump.
It's all that Psyche birthday cake.
For real.
Yeah, that Psyche. Yeah, exactly. Birthday Psyche. Oh.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Holy shit! It looks like rainbows. But yeah, it's
But a
one of
lot
those
of
things where
this,
it's like,
yeah, a lot of the stuff you said here, man, I fully relate to 100%, man. It's just a disaster with these women. Like they just never ever take responsibility. Hey, listen, I'm a man here in your live stream with how many people are watching. You know, there have been times I went out and I drank too much. I hung out too late. You know, if I was with the neighbors for a little too long, having a couple beers. You know, but I've never abused my kids. I never did anything negative to my kids. I never neglected my kids. That's for damn sure. But, you know, it's just, well, I want you there where I want you, where I can see you. And that's most women's attitude. I want you where I want you, but I can do whatever I want. But you sit in that chair, you good little boy. I mean,
yeah,
that's their
pretty much that's
attitude
what it
these
is.
days, man.
That's literally
That's
their
what it
attitude.
is.
It's that part about that. You
Yeah.
have to capitulate to their attitude. If you don't, they'll get upset. But the sad part about that, if you capitulate to their attitude, now they start losing respect for you. And that's typically the problem with a lot of Latin women. You can't
Yes.
as a man, put your you got to always put your foot down and always be willing to actually put your foot down and be serious about the demands you make as when you're dating a Latina. Because a Latina will pretty much walk all over you if you let her. Because I was talking about this with me and Black Pill, Red Pill philosophy. We're talking about this in the live stream last night before he jumped out about Latinas. Like they literally will walk all over you if you don't put your foot down and you don't act like a man with a Latina because they're used to actual men actually, you know, being men. And the sad part about that, they're so used to American men being so easy and being molded like putty that they can literally get away with murder with American men, unlike what they can get away with the Latin men.
Like my ex, she's Colombian. I understand that, man. Entiendo, hermano. Entiendo.
Don't. When it comes to like women from when it comes to women from anywhere, any Latin
it doesn't
country,
even mean like brown Latin. It can be white Latin, black Latin, any kind of Latin.
Yeah, it's like
anybody. And then you think of
anybody
Western,
from
you
Latin
think
America,
anybody,
period.
Yeah.
Never,
doing bad shit. That's Western.
ever lacks for one of them. Basically, you got to be up on them all the time for all intents and purposes. For the fact that the minute you lax, the minute they start losing respect for you, the minute they'll walk all over you. That's one thing I can say about Latinas. But
That's
you know,
what
when it
happened
comes to
with
the
me.
American women, it's a whole nother ball game basically. And it's one of those things where it's like, even if you're lax or even if you're
Gotta
on
blow
top
that
of them,
back out.
you're still going to have to deal with the fallout of the gynocentric society for all intents and purposes. So,
but nah, man, if you say what you say, if you mean what you say, and you have a certain mentality,
not with American women. Not with American women, no, because they're a different breed.
They're completely different, dude.
They'll basically use daddy government to their advantage if they'll basically like I felt threatened in the story. Whereas a Latina, if you keep your thumb on her, she'll basically fly right. If the minute you let your thumb off of her, think of it like those old fashioned helicopters where you put it on top of the thing, you pull the string and it takes off. Basically, think of it like that. Like if you keep on pulling it, it'll stay there. The minute you let it go, it'll take off. So you got to keep on pulling it to rev it up, basically.
Well, the moment you let it take off, on an American woman is when she calls the cops. That's when
Let me tell you, man.
She calls the cops.
I've been with two Hispanic women. They're two of the longest relationships I had. One was for about 7 years, and obviously the mother of my kids was for 13 years.
Yeah.
And in both of those relationships, man, I mean, you have your fathers, you have your popes, then you have Jesus Christ, then you have God, then you have her. And I've noticed, you know, without trying to offend anybody here, Hispanic women, in my experience, to me, you literally have to have a gold statue with them that you have to worship 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if you don't focus your attention on them every single goddamn fucking minute, second, hour, or week of the month of the year, forget it.
Oh no, not necessarily, because a lot of men that usually applies to a lot of American men. But the sad part about that, the minute you do that, is the minute she actually starts pulling away and she ends up starts acting a fool. Typically, the dynamic between me and a cartel princess is look.
Yeah.
If you don't disrespect me, I won't disrespect you. And if you're going to be disrespectful, just know that this shit can end at any given time. And the sad part about that is like I'm so stern with her. I don't abuse her. I'm so stern with her to the point where like, look, I got suitcases with your name on it. Don't make me pull them out the closet and tell you bye. And like she knows at any minute if she makes me mad or she agitates me, or she does something wrong to basically fuck up this relationship, she knows that I'm willing to pull those suitcases out the thing and send her on her way packing. It's simply how I am. Because like this is where a lot of men in America fail to realize about themselves. If you tell somebody you're going to do something and you don't do it, you automatically become a bitch to that person.
You're a hypocrite.
Yeah, you're a hypocrite. So it's one of those things where it's like when it comes to women, if you're going to put your foot down with a woman, you better be willing to actually follow through with it. It's basically what I say about like if you're going to like a good example, like I was saying about like being in a friend zone. If you're stuck in a friend zone, basically, you better be willing. If you're going to talk all sexual to your friend, you better be willing to back it up in public, back it up on the spot for the most part. Because if you're not willing to back it up on the spot, she's going to call your bluff, and she's going to know you're lying. And that's typically how this shit works. She's going to call your bluff, and that goes for American women or Latin women, everybody, every type of woman. She's going to call your bluff. So it's one of those things where, like a good example, I said to a woman once, I swear to God, if you keep it up, I'm gonna pull your hair and spank you and slap your ass twice if you keep on fucking with me. She called my bluff. I literally got up, pulled her by her hair, and I smacked her ass twice. Right. And it caught her off guard, and she didn't fuck with me the rest of the day. It's like, so I literally when I say I commit and own something, I literally commit and own something, and I don't care about the follow-up, do it in a heartbeat. Because one of those things was like, you can't really do. Women are not really going to do much to a person that's going to commit and own things. They're going to respect it, or they're going to be upset with it. But it's going to be one of those things where either they're turned on, or they're appalled, or they're turned on, and they're not really going to do anything about it. It's going to be one of the things where like, well, he said he was, so what can I do? So it's one of those things where if you're a man and you commit and own shit, you're less likely to go through a ringer or less likely to get shit done to you for all intents and purposes. Because it's one of those things where it's like, he said he's going to do it, and he did it. Now I look like I'm the one with the egg on my face. So typically a lot of the times is like, I'm very stern and I'm very like, if you ever met me, like when I'm hanging out with my friends, especially my female friends, I'll get very vulgar. And they'll just look at me like, what the fuck? Where the hell did this come from? And the sad part about that is like,
yeah, you're a guy.
Yeah, basically.
What's wrong with that? Yeah.
Yeah, like I'll get very vulgar. I'll get very vulgar and talk very vulgar to a lot of the women that are my friends. And the sad part about that is, instead of getting mad about it or instead of being upset with it, they welcome it. It's basically like what the one PUA was saying about saying about men.
See you guys later.
See you guys later.
All right.
It's basically what the one PUA was saying about women. And men. There's two types of men. There's a man that's the beta provider, and there's a man that's very attractive and can get away with saying the most off the wall shit to women. The beta provider can't get away with saying shit that I would normally say to women. Period. Because they'll pretty much be swatted down and go and they'll tell them like, you're being disrespectful, get back in your seat. However, I can say some of the shit to women and get away with it for the fact that it's my personality. I'm not saying I'm an alpha male, I'm a sigma, but I do have alpha qualities. I do notice I have alpha qualities a lot of the times, and it translates into like how I interact with people and how I behave. So it's one of those things where it's like, you have to accept me for me no matter what. Even if we're not dating, you got to accept me. So it's one of those things where it's like, I don't really force myself upon people. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm just verbally me, no matter where I am in the world. Hell, I could be in church. Just know, I don't give a damn if you're the church lady, the church first lady. I will say something vulgar to your ass in a heartbeat.
Right.
And then you'll look at me like, you're going to hell. Nuh-uh. That's not what God said. Exactly what I say. That's not what God said. God made me in the image of him. So therefore, obviously there's something about God that made me say that. I'm just saying. And it's simply how I interact with people. And it's like, I don't back down from nothing. I never shy away. It's like, if I'm going to say something, I'm going to say it. And you're going to have to like it or dislike it. And you're going to have to accept it. I don't really care. And it's one of those things that I've learned to do in America. Because I normally, when I first came to America, I typically kept that shelved or in my back pocket so I won't get in trouble. But then I realized that a lot of people actually like that personality that personality in me. So it's one of those things where it's like, I got a hit in school for the fact that I was able to do that to people and women and guys basically, and not really care what the outcome was or the fallout was. So you have to be able to commit and own it no matter what, no matter the situation you're in.
And I think nowadays, a lot of guys have lost those qualities, man. Mm-hmm. Guys that speak with authority. I'm not saying to be an authoritarian or anything like that, But guys these days, most of them anyway, they just don't have that quality anymore. They've been so softened up. It's pathetic, man. You know, I'm like you, man. I gravitate towards my own. I'd rather listen to a guy say every other word.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And have a good time and laugh and drink a beer and do all that good stuff. But then, you know, you're around some of these other guys that are there like Mickey Mouse. And I'm like, God, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I gravitate towards my own, man. I'm an alpha. I'm sorry. I'm one of them alphas. I like guys that have strong attitudes, strong language, that don't hold nothing back. It drives me up a wall when I'm around a blue pill beta. I hate them. I shouldn't say hate, but it's just like aggravating and annoying. Like, get with the program. Everybody else is drinking a beer, having fun, getting a little silly, and they're there with their Zima.
Yeah.
And well, I don't know. I just shut up and drink.
I'm gonna need you to drink some more drink. Matter of fact, get this motherfucker some Wi-Fi I want to put it on fire.
Yeah, man. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just I appreciate guys like myself, man. And we're a dying breed these days.
Oh, we definitely are.
We're a dying breed.
And I can appreciate men that are men for all intents and purposes, because it's one of those things where it's like, it's kind of hard to find, and they're few and far between. And to answer Shinobi one's question, no, I'm not connected to the royal family. No, I'm not one of the part of the elites. We do things above ground and below ground, basically, when it comes to my family. So we're willing to make deals with people across the world, no matter if anybody likes it or not, because we like our business and we want our business to grow. So we typically make deals, even if there's sanctions against the country, sanctions against certain countries, because other countries say you shouldn't deal with them or you shouldn't do this with them. My family is willing to go out of their way to make deals with that country.
Hey, Tico, I'm going to tap out here for a minute or two. I got some messages on my phone I'm going to answer. You going to be on for a while?
Probably, because I'm here with I'm here with Billy Go, so we might continue on for a little bit.
All right, cool. I'll be back in a couple minutes. Let me see what these messages are. I don't want to interfere with your live stream. I'll be back.
You're fine. Go ahead.
All right, man.
But yeah, it's typically one of those things where like you got to be able to commit and own it. Because the sad part about that, nobody respects a person that wants to be scared to be themselves or that lacks the confidence in being themselves. Because like I said,
having a backbone, like having a spine, spine people, man.
Yeah, and it's like you got to have a spine. You got to be willing to actually use your spine. You got to always be willing to actually keep your spine erect. Because like I said, I have many friends who are females who would normally bitch slap you for saying some of the shit that I would say if you don't have the confidence and or don't have the attitude. Because I tell them in a heartbeat, like, dude, I'm an asshole. When they first met me, like, I'm an asshole. Or don't tell me, you're such an asshole. But when I got to know you, you're an asshole. You're a good asshole. I was like, yeah, I know. You know, just don't put your finger in my asshole. You won't have any problems if you don't do that. And it's like, and that's simply how I am. And I'm very vulgar, and I'm very nonchalant. And like, I'll say stuff. I'll say like the most ignorant, most vulgar stuff to people, and I'll say it in a nonchalant way. Like I was talking to my friend the other day, and she called me a fuckface. Now, normally this is the typical conversation I have with my friend because I'm a bit of an asshole. So, no, she goes to me. No, she said before that when she was talking about I was a fuckface, right? So I go, yeah, whatever. But you like my fuckface. You like my fuckface attitude, basically. And I sat down at the bar and I was drinking, and she goes to me. We were talking about age, right? And she goes, I'm only like 4 years younger than her. She goes to me, you're still wet behind the ears. I go, last time I was wet behind the ears, somebody was sitting on my face. Like literally like that. And I literally said it and I started drinking my beer. And she busted out laughing. She goes, I'm not touching that. But like, yeah, it's one of those things where like I'm very vulgar and I talk very sexual when I'm around my friends. I don't give a damn if you're a guy or a girl, basically. That's basically who I am as a human being. Like, we're going to have as much fun as humanly possible. I'm going to make you the most uncomfortable as humanly possible, but we're going to have fun doing it. Tell me how I feel about it.
Yeah, when you add the sort of sexual kind of twist or bit to it, it makes it that little bit more special as well.
Yeah,
definitely. Fact, yeah.
And it's one of those things where like you feel like a comedian for that moment, for the fact that you're not letting PC culture control you.
Yeah,
because that's typically what they want. They want everybody controlled, or they want everybody to do this. And the funny thing about that, the minute you can actually step outside yourself and be vulgar, it opens up a realm of possibilities for you, and it makes it funny. and you're gonna have a lot more fun when you're not trying to be PC or trying to kiss everybody's ass or trying to walk on eggshells or sneak around people.
It's like they're expecting, like, oh, you're not meant to speak like that. You know, you're meant to be polite and sweet, and it's like, no, well, no. I mean, I'm just gonna say what I want to say, and if I can have a laugh at it at the same time.
Oh yeah, definitely, always. Because I always said if I could, as long as I'm having fun, that's all that matters to me. I don't give a damn if you're not having fun around me. I'm going to have fun at your expense no matter what. And that's simply how I feel. That's simply how I feel in relationships too. Like they say, happy wife, happy life. Nuh-uh. If I'm not happy, it's not going down. Like fuck that shit. Fuck what she got going on. If I'm not happy, it's not going down.
I mean, it's like you're not scared to say it, so it's kind of showing that it's a sign of confidence as well in someone. If they're able to be a bit vulgar, a bit rude, they're not worried about repercussions. It's kind of funny. They're laughing at themselves at the same time because you know it's surprising coming out of your own mouth sometimes. Things you can say.
Sucky's back. Sucky's back.
Go ahead,
my ex.
Billy. Go ahead, Billy.
She's like, I can't quite remember the situations, but one of the responses I should give to her would be like, "Well, you asked for it, you know, so fucking you dare me, I'm gonna do it."
Yeah, for real. Like, you know, you're not gonna sit up here and dare me, and I'm not gonna do it because I always say, like, if you say something to somebody, you better be willing. You better be willing to follow through with that thing.
Yeah.
Like if you tell a woman you're going to slap her in her face with your dick in public, you better be willing to pull out your dick and slap her in the face with it. Like that's probably a bit extreme, but you know what I mean though. Like if you're going to make if you're going to say this stuff, you better be willing to do it and follow through with it because people know the difference between a person that will and a person that won't. And the sad part about that is if I tell a woman I'll slap her in the face with my dick in public, you best believe I'm ready to slap her in the face with my dick in public. She dare me to, or she tell me I won't.
Mega Man channel does not condone penis violence. What did I walk into? I disappeared for 5 minutes.
I know, right?
And I hear women getting smacked in the face.
No, we're talking about we're talking about being you basically without being afraid to be you basically is all it really is. But I was using the extreme basically to get my point across. Like I was
that's a little extreme. I'm like, who's getting nuts in the face? I'm like, oh, lovely.
Right? Because like typically I use an extreme to actually get my point across. Basically, like I don't think I've ever said that to a woman, but like I've came close to saying some shit like that to friends in public. But it's one of those things where it's like if you're like I was saying basically, if you're gonna tell somebody you're gonna slap them in the face with your dick or slap them in the cheek with your dick, you better be willing to follow through with that.
Follow through with
that's
this.
That's an empty threat. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's one of those things where it's like I'm not gonna say something unless I'm willing to follow through with it. And so there are certain limitations to what I'll do and say for the fact that I'm actually kind of attached to somebody. So there's certain things I'm not going to say to a woman that I'm going to have to follow through with it because then that would be seen as cheating. But people know me. If I say something, you better not dare me because you will get it across your face. Hell, I'm so much of a dick. If I tell you I'll stir your drink with my dick, I'll pretty much stick my dick in your drink and stir it.
The MAGA Man channel does not condone violence against penises or faces. If you have problems with penises or faces, please dial your local 911. This has been a public service announcement from the MAGA Man channel. That's pretty funny. Actually, I'm going to end it on that, Tico. Because the message I checked is a buddy of mine in South Charlotte. Apparently, there's been some action down there, and he needs needs me to come down there with my goodies. If you catch my drift.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to go down there, have my boys back. Listen, Tico, to the guys in the live stream, thank you very much. I'm not going to do a plug because of the seriousness of this message I got. So let me just end it right there. Until next time, guys, be safe, all right?
Hey,
and Tico, like always, man, good shit.
Hey, Mega Man. Hey, Mega Man. Hey.
Yes.
Make a video of it.
Probably make a video of it. Definitely make a video of it. I would like to see that.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. It's just I got a message about some action going down, literally right out in front of my boy's apartment complex. So
nice.
I'm going down there, loading up my car with my goodies, and just make sure him and his family are all right. So
gotcha.
Let me tell you, if you want to talk about a man that will defend his own, you're looking at him. So
I know that's
guys,
right.
Let me get out of here. I'll see you later. Take care. Be safe, boys. All right. Have a good one.
See ya.
Okay.
All right.
Maca's gone. Maca's gone.
Now we got intro and outro music now. But yeah, it's all about basically committing and owning it and defending yourself whenever you need to. So if you tell somebody you're going to do something, you got to put your foot down because people aren't going to take you seriously if you're just making empty threats for all intents and purposes. Never make empty threats.
Empty, wimpy.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it can be perceived as like arrogance, like this person's a joker, he's all cocky and shit like that. But
Yeah, it can be, but the sad part about that, after a while, as it continues on, they realize very quickly, like, this is probably not the person that you want to dare. Because there's a difference between being cocky and arrogant. Because, like, you can be cocky to a certain extent, but there comes a point where, like, you're not willing to back up all the shit that you say if you're cocky. You're just being cocky just to show off and showboat for all intents and purposes. Where if you're just being an asshole, you're more likely to do it than a person that's being cocky. Because the person that's being cocky is basically just trying to one up you and try to be better than you. So when it actually comes down to it, they're either going to back down and or say this is crazy and we shouldn't do this shit. So the person that's being cocky usually is going to try to talk everybody out of doing some stupid shit for the fact that now he's embarrassed and now he's not willing to actually put his money where his mouth is. That's simply how cocky people work. Whereas a person that's an asshole like me, if I tell you I'm going to stir your drink with my dick, I'm going to whip my dick out and stir your drink with my dick. It's pretty much what it is. But like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's not cockiness. It's basically like, look, if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. If I say I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it. And the sad part about that is there's a lot of the times where like I'll be talking to people and they'll go, Tico, can you edit this out the video? This, that, and the other. Now I'll give you one or two responses. I'll go, I'll see what I can do, or I'll get to it whenever I get to it, or I'll get to it right away, or I promise I'll get to it right away. So if I say I promise I'll get to it right away, that lets you know that I'm actually going to fix it ASAP. If I tell you that I'll get to it whenever I get to it, basically I didn't really deem it that important enough to actually fix or something like that. So it's one of those things where it's like it depends on who you are and how you approach me when you actually say it. So it's one of those things where it's like if you're one of the people that, if you made a dumb mistake, understandable, I'll actually fix it. However, if you're actually saying stuff and you're trying to be cocky, then you actually got to live with your own mistakes. But if you come to me and you actually made a dumb mistake, I can understand your dumb mistake, so I will edit it out the video later on when I'm in while it's uploading to YouTube for all intents and purposes. I'll merely just edit out what's going on. So it's one of those things where it's like, if you come at me correctly, I'm more likely to follow through with it. If you come at me being a cocky prick, then it's got to stay up in the video because now you got to understand. Now you got to learn from your lesson, unfortunately. So it's one of those things where it's like, that's pretty much how it works.
Yeah, I mean, they might not come up to you cocky. They might be like they're being a bit of a whiny bitch sort of thing.
Yeah, if they're being a whiny, if the person's being a whiny bitch, I'm pretty much less likely going to edit it out the video for all intents and purposes before it goes up. But if you come to me and be like, Tico, I accidentally showed my face or I actually did this, that, and the other, can you edit that out, please, Pimpin'? I'll be like, okay, I'll get that. I'm doing that right now as we speak. It's simply how it is. I'll handle it right then and there. But if I tell you, I'll get to it when I get to it. That's typically you came to me and you agitated me enough for me not to want to deal with the situation, and now you got to suffer the consequences. It's simply how that works. So it's one of those things where it's like it depends on how you come to me and how much and the level of respect I have for you. And because I know there was a recent incident where this happened basically with a person I had to let go from that I had to stop putting on my panel because they started acting like a little bitch. He basically asked me, can I edit something he said as one of his handles in my live stream. Meanwhile, he's saying the exact same shit in a live stream, but he wants me to edit one of his YouTube channels that he used to say the stupid shit because it'll affect them negatively. Now, you said the dumb shit in my live stream, and now you want me to edit something from a channel that you're known by, basically, that everybody knows you about. First off, why did you use that channel to do it? Secondly, you need to learn to take responsibility for your own actions and don't open your mouth if you're scared of repercussions and consequences.
Yeah, like reap what you sow, innit?
Yeah, literally. So I basically told him when he asked me that, because he came to me acting like a little bitch when he said it, I go, I'll get to it whenever I get to it.
And then it becomes your responsibility and your job to cover his ass and
yeah, it's not my job to cover your ass. No, don't get me wrong. Like if I respect you, like I respect Billy Goat. If he asked me, oh, Tico, can you like edit that out when I said, bitches ain't shit, I'll be like, okay, I got you, pimpin'. I'll typically, and the sad part about that, I'll literally do that in the middle of the live stream, in the middle of YouTube studio, while the live stream's still going on. I'll literally edit it right out of there. So by the time the video goes up, it's already gone. But if you come to me and I don't have no respect for you and I know you're full of shit, then it's one of those things where it's like, you gotta suck. You pretty much gotta learn from your mistakes and you gotta pretty much reap what you sow now. But it's one of those things where it's like, if I respect you enough and you come to me like a man and you don't say stupid shit to me and you don't say stupid shit on my live stream, I'm more inclined to respect you and actually edit shit out for you.
Yeah. I mean, it also reflects back on yourself, because then it's like, you're a man of your word, you've got integrity,
Yeah.
you've got honor. A spade is a spade. You're not going to pussyfoot around what something is, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's pretty much how I am. Like I have two natural responses to a person. Either I'm like, I'm gonna get on that ASAP, or I promise I'll get to that right now, or I'll say to you, I'll do it whenever I get the time to. And usually it's basically my version. It's basically my version of maybe. And if I say maybe, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to do it.
And then one of them is kind of like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, right. It's one of those things. If I say I'm gonna get to it whenever I get to it, or if I'll get to it whenever I get to it. It's basically one of those things where it's like, I don't deem it important, and it's basically my version of maybe. Meaning it's not going to happen if I say maybe, or I might. If I tell you I'm gonna get to it, I'm gonna get to it. If I promise you I'm gonna get to it, I'll get to it. But if I don't promise you anything at all, which I pretty much know, the people who I pretty much will promise stuff to and who I won't, I'll typically get to it right away if I trust you. And it's one of those things where like you're basically a respectable person, and I would see you as a respectable person in my eyes for all intents and purposes. So I'll get to it right away. But if you can't be sitting here being a hypocrite, saying, "Oh, can you get rid of that comment?" and you're gonna say the same shit in the live stream, but you want me to get rid of your comment right there that doesn't match your live stream name. It's like, come on now, dude, really?
Hey, Susie's a carpet muncher. Tico, edit that out.
Whatever. You say shit like that all the time anyway. I do too. Simple as hell. Edit that out. Oh my goodness. But yes, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you basically got to be a man of your word. If you're a man of your word, you have nothing to worry about because your word is your bond.
Yeah, man, keep that 100.
I try my best to
carry on.
Yeah.
I try my best to. What do you mean you about to get on a plane now?
Yes, sir.
You about to ride a? Where you about to go? Where you going?
I'm gonna go to the casino.
You said carry on.
Go to the casino in Colorado.
You're going to Colorado. Oh, so you are getting on a plane. Okay, I was about to say.
Yes, nice. I am. I'm gonna go. I'm go casino, and I'm gonna win the money, and then I'm gonna eat the money.
You're simple, so I'm gonna eat the money.
Why did it get awkward?
You just say you're gonna eat the money. It's like, yeah, very awkward.
So I got that done, and get my carry on together. Got that. All right, I think that'll do it. But I'm gonna walk out the house, feel all naked as hell, no pun intended, and be like, "Fuck! I left such and such back at the house, man." All this shit. Oh boy. Let me see a bunch of people with Roni masks on. I was like, "Hey, I'm from South Dakota. Woo! I don't need no mask. Yeah, that was a fucking bunch of TSA flight attendants and shit tackle me all at the same time. Get soap out of here. Yeah, soap is bad. That is messed up. Why would you say soap is bad? Soap is good for you.
Well, the sad part about that, Shinobi One, I'm usually pretty good at protecting people while they're in the live stream to the point where, like, if something happens, I don't got to worry about stuff like that. But like when it comes to editing, usually I'm already on it right after somebody fucks up right then and there. Like I'll go right to YouTube Studio and I'll start editing shit out in the middle of the live stream. It's typically how it works. So it's one of those things. If I think somebody fucked up or said something that was probably an identifier to a person, I'll edit it out. If if I think it's not really gonna, if I don't think it's even gonna be an important thing or it's a non-subject, it's a non-topic thing, basically, I'll leave it in there. But it's one of those things where it's like it depends on, it basically depends on how the conversation was going. I could determine if it was one of those things that was an identifying mark or if it was a if it was something I need to be edited for all intents and purposes. Because it's one of those things. The way we talk in a live stream, shockingly, and the way it actually flows and the way it goes, you would never know who's who and who's what, basically, at some points of the live stream because it goes crazy. And the sad part about that is like, usually I edit it right then and there or edit right after I'm done with the live stream. But usually I edit it right then and there for the fact that I know exactly where it is and I can remember what number it's at, what timestamp it's at, and I get it done for all intents and purposes. Or I'll just write down the timestamp of where it's at, basically, in the live stream. And I'll basically go from there. It's simply how it works. So it ends up being edited very quickly out of the video. It only takes me all of 2 minutes altogether, maximum, is usually what it takes me to edit something out of the live stream. Unless YouTube Studios is being a dick, it usually only takes me like 2 minutes maximum for me to edit something out of a live stream real quick. But usually with that, if YouTube Studios is being a dick, I'll typically, because how StreamYards is set up, I can download the video and I can re-edit the video, then I can put the video back up if it gets too bad. Speaking of which, I still got to put up that live stream that had me, Screwhead, Money AD, and a couple other people in it that was funny as hell. Speaking of which, I still got to upload it on Saturday. But yeah, that's simply how I deal with a lot of that stuff. Huh? Would you say it's like?
Yeah, like 90 people on it.
Well, no, I'm actually on that
one. The whole damn stream.
Yeah, I had like 90 people, and we're all acting straight full. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I usually deal with it right then and there, on the spot for all purposes.
We're in there being the red-pilled Wu-Tang Clan and shit. It's all crowded and shit.
Whole entire track got like 90 people on it and shit.
Yeah.
It's a 5-minute track that got 90 people on it. You're all dirty. All dirty. I know, right?
I'm dirty, Gert. I'm dirty. A lot of people around the town. Pretty much. Whoa, wait a minute. I don't know, man. You might be RZA, dude.
Yeah, I could be RZA, too. I could be. I definitely could be RZA.
Wu-Tang, Wu-Tang, Wu-Tang. He don't even say Wu-Tang. He just says Wu-Tang. Because of them fucking bangs in his face. He can't even talk right. All the bangs. Shit. I'm going to get some bangs. I like bangs.
What do you say? I'm an honest narcissist. This kid.
What the fuck?
This kid.
It's weird.
He's trying to mimic my I'm an honest criminal. That's what he's actually doing. He's trying to say he's an honest narcissist.
Oh yeah, man. Oh.
Keep it up. I'm gonna change the live stream names from Baron and Sadist to narcissist and criminal.
Fucked up.
Too funny.
Because they got no real name. I'll turn that off. Off. All right, man. Yeah, that's about done here. I got that. Don't forget my unicycle. I gotta bring my unicycle now. There you go.
This kid.
Yeah, man. You know.
Y'all anybody have any other things to talk about on this lovely live stream, or are we gonna call it?
Dude, I gotta catch this flight. Y'all can call it. Shit. And yeah.
Billy, you have anything else to add to it?
With my outro and stuff.
I
don't know.
Not particularly. I mean, it's good. The points things that are being made were actually pretty relevant with what's going on.
Yeah. You want to do your outro, Psyche Soap?
Yeah, like, damn. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And, man, enough appreciation to you brothers one more time. You know, I'll have a safe one out here.
Be safe on your
Hopefully
flight.
not get into a lot of goofy shit, pertaining to my flight. And
How long is the flight gonna be?
well, shit, actually, an hour and a half, I guess. It's not that far, And given the time difference too, because I'm flying across the time zone going back.
Oh, you're going back in time.
Yeah. So that's what it turns into. And damn, yeah, from all of you that it showed birthday appreciation, thank you. I'm gonna, lift my glasses first and foremost for the red pill community within the manosphere and brothers like y'all-selves that are out here doing the real holding the line and not talking about it. There, y'all are actually doing this. And we're all one big brother, all belong to one father. You tread on one, you hurt another, and that to me is brotherhood. And watch my shit.
You're simple. Simple as hell. You talking about Wu-Tang Clan? It's like he says, fighting style is slippery and cleansing. What? Yam is a nut. I can't do him today.
Goat food. No, I think Billy knows that.
Goat food, yeah.
Goat food, part 3.
Right? Billy, you want to do your outro?
Can't really think of one. So, thanks, Tico. Thanks, everyone. Be well. See you later.
You'll get one eventually.
Next
You'll get
time.
one.
I want to come up with a new rhyme for to sort of top off the one before. I'm feeling the sea. So,
Y'all be blessed. Be good. Take care of yourselves and always do good with yourselves and always improve yourself, improve upon yourself. Always keep an open mind to improve yourself and love yourselves 100%. Because ain't nobody gonna love you more than you love yourself. As long as you love yourself. Treat yourselves like milk. Do not spoil yourselves. Be good. Be blessed. And y'all have a good day. Adios, my niggas.